reaching the microphone are changed into impulses of electric current.
No need to worry about your pre-recorded music tapes being accidentally erased. It can't happen.
Well,
function, pumping and dumping, manipulate the market, flooded from the darknet, flooded from the deep web, keep it a secret, every exchange got the nerdy brains trading on the frequent.
Alright, we're live by the way, I forgot to do the countdown, sorry about that. Here we go, now we're going to put my face on, here we go. Alright, so before we get to the spiel, let me make sure that everyone can properly hear me. Huh, there's a little bit of an echo. Alright, well, it's so minor that I don't think it's going to be fully in the way. If everyone in chat starts going crazy about this very minor background slight echo, I'll change it to the less optimal audio, because right now we're on optimal audio. But yeah, hi, it's been a while. I'm back here to DCG 201 live stream. I know I basically took like a break for a month because, I mean, still stuff is going on in my personal life, but there's extra personal stuff that was going on through all of August, but I'm here now, and one of the things that kind of got resolved that I'll probably be talking about through multiple episodes is you'll probably be noticing that I'm at the Hack Manhattan space again, and I'm here because I recently just became a member, so this will possibly be consistent, providing that, you know, the doors work and I don't have to ninja my way through the windows or something in the near future, because welcome to having a hackerspace. The only way it could get worse around here is if we all started living together, and as everyone knows on the live stream, I've already done that. So that's the whole thing. But again, welcome to the DCG 201 live stream, because it's been a while. That's kind of a recap of what we are and who I am. I'm Sidepocket. I'm one of the two. Let me actually switch the headphones so I don't start going crazy. There we go. Because it sounds good. I'm one of the two co-founders of DCG 201, formerly DEF CON 201 or DC 201. We are one of the many DEF CON groups, which is like a place where hackers gather at least once a month and do coding and hardware and, you know, all sorts of shenanigans that are very unlabelable and sometimes even risky. But we're one of the many around across the nation, the United States and around the world. I run the one that's in New Jersey, particularly in Jersey City, and I would be saying, which I was hoping to by this point, the exact date of our upcoming meeting, but I did have a slight monkey wrench thrown in the way, so just give me about like 2 or 3 more days max, and we're going to be posting that news on all of our socials. And speaking of our socials, if you do want to follow us while we're still getting the website going, we do have a Medium blog, which I just posted in the chat right here. We are also literally on pretty much almost every social media thing on the sun, and we're actually about to add one in the next 24 hours, so stay tuned with all of that. Oop, there's a thing going on with the chat. Okay, at least it did go through, so that's good. We just do a quick bit of bedtime stuff. Yep, we are connected on everything. Perfect. But yeah, that's the link tree. You can find us on this thing, because we're on so many different things. Where I think our 2 big ones is we're on Instagram at DEFCON 201, and we're on Twitter. That supposedly it changed its name to X, but I'll put it this way, I will start calling its actual name when Elon Musk stops dead naming people himself. So you can find us on Twitter at DEFCON201NJ. We're on GitHub, obviously on Mastodon on the WhoStucks.social instance, and no, we're not moving from there because it's a really cool space. We're on a ton of different stuff, because Twitter, aka X, imploded. God, I just realized talking about Twitter is kind of like talking about Puff Daddy, where there's like a new name every 2 days. You have to like say all of them in a row, like it's some magic spell. But anyhow, the link tree that I just posted has every single one of them there, and it also has where you can also see all the live streams like what you're watching now. And finally, again, we are also resetting all of our chat systems. We're going to be on a new IRC. We're going to have our new internal chat system that's going to replace the very aging and very outmoded but useful at the time. Just forgot the name of it. What was it called? KeyPass, KeyChat, something like that. But in the meantime, just like every other computer and hacking thing under the sun, yes, we do have a Discord. There's the link to the Discord. So now that we got that out of the way, I want to address 2 more quick things before I go into the stream, explain what the show is, and get right to the episode that we were supposed to do at 7, which is why I'm very happy that chat has been extremely patient during this entire time. But 2 other things is, of course, if you like the content that you're going to see today, and I'm going to constantly be repeating this because that's what you just do on live streaming. You can go follow us completely for free. Follow, like, subscribe, all the different platforms we're live streaming on, which if I remember off the top of my head right now, it's Twitch, YouTube, which is our 2 primary ones, PeerTube, Odyssey, and we recently added Kick. We are working on re-enabling the Twitter, also known as X, live stream in the near future. Just realized maybe I should start cleaning the camera after this stream. Yeah, I'm probably going to do that. But anyhow, and particularly if I set everything up correctly, if you like and follow us on Twitch, YouTube, Odyssey, or Kick, during the stream, you get notifications for these. So that you can see the notifications, make sure you want it, yells Hack the Planet, really goddamn fun. the only caveat about this is that on YouTube, if you do follow us, and by the way, the video is archived, the live stream temporarily on Twitch for a week. It's permanently archived on our YouTube, PeerTube, and Odyssey. But if you're on YouTube, make sure, and I know you hear this in every other video, but I'm going to explain why, to click on the bell next to the subscribe and put the bell on where it's completely filled in, because YouTube is a terribly coded piece of shit and doesn't do that by default, which would really help a lot of people on the platform, but it's YouTube. They hate their users. So welcome to the live stream. This is one of my 2 live stream shows. Again, it's been a while, so I have to do the recaps here. And this show is called Crypto Barons, and kind of exactly like the way it sounds, but let me explain. It's the show where we look at blockchain, cryptocurrency technologies, here's the key, as technologies. So unlike all the other live streams that I freaking hate, where you try to look up some cool thing going on in the world of the blocks and the chains, and all you hear is bear markets and buy the drip and to the moon and all sorts of dumb snake oil salesman stuff, which we have called out multiple times on this show. We're kind of the reverse, which is why you guys are watching it here. So we normally like to read white papers and watch me struggle to do the math on them, because even though I can do math, I don't enjoy doing it, which is, programmers, that's why we hate ourselves. We look at hopefully they're open source, so they usually have a GitHub page or some repo. We look at their code. We do test nets. We do wallets. We just do the whole gambit of all the actual technological aspects of what we're covering. The unfortunate thing about today is that this is probably one of, if not the only, least technical ones we're going to live stream. So I totally understand. I don't want to stick by now, but stick by. Bear with me, okay? Just let me explain. So a couple of weeks ago, last month, and this is actually where I bring up my calendar, because I originally wanted to do this the week after in September, but again, my life is a constant shit show, as everyone probably knows. This was the week of September. I'm actually going to extend it a day before. So this was September 15th all the way to September, the morning of September 23rd. There was a little event the day before, that's why I said on 15th, but basically, I was invited to a crap ton of blockchain and crypto tech stuff and gatherings, and I was like, usually there's a thing, in May everyone goes crazy because it's Bitcoin Pizza Day in May. But this was just like, imagine okay, you're invited to a ton of hacker stuff, and you're like, is there a conference or something? Because why is there so much stuff on here? Like, what the heck could be going on? And then out of the blue, now I'm going to repeat this story for tomorrow's stream, I got in contact, and we're going to look at them for a little bit, by this company. This is called Evertas. And long story short, they needed someone, because if you haven't noticed, and we're going to be talking about this tomorrow, they like lockpicking. Their business card is a set of lockpicks. And they, they needed someone in order to actually demo and teach people how to pick locks, especially with their little business cards. And 2 good things came from that. One, full disclosure, since I worked for them, I made a bunch of money, so yay for not being broke for once. But the second thing is that, and I just realized I've hit my counter today, but the second thing is that I finally understood why all these events were going on. Like, even though this only took place on the 20th through the 22nd, so this was the Wednesday to Friday, everyone decided to just do everything that week. If you were an organization, you had some presence in New York City, you did something that week. So I was literally like, I must have went through like multiple different days. In addition, during that, there was also a convention in Europe that was live streamed online, which was going to be the original episode we're going to do, where we're going to cover it just like the way we covered Polkadot Decoded online, and then all of this stuff happened. So that's what today's episode is going to be, is I'm going to go over the insanity that was September 15th to September 22nd, covering not only not only Sub-Zero, not the Mortal Kombat character, different thing, Sub-Zero from Polkadot, which then led into Mainnet 2023 in New York that I attended and worked at in person, but also all of the events and interesting activities surrounded that. And we're going to end it by looking at a couple of videos from panels about security and technology and coding from these conventions. So yeah, like this is gonna be, it's gonna be I wouldn't say it's a short episode, but it's gonna be fairly straightforward. Normally I'd be like, well, if we're watching so many videos, we might do some coding at the end. I had to delay this stream. I'm really tired, so we're gonna cover this. I guarantee that the next time we live stream, all the stuff I have lined up for crypto barons in the future is people I've been like, wait till September, October, I'm going to throw you on there, and we're going to be looking at so much code. We're going to be doing so much math, and you guys get to watch me cry. It's going to be great. Speaking of me crying on the live stream, that was the other thing I forgot to mention. I love an active chat. So if you have, and this is a loaded term, if you have any questions about why am I standing in front of a refrigerator in what appears to be someone's kitchen, even though this is not someone's kitchen, this is the kitchen for everyone. What is Hack Manhattan, which I will be answering in a minute or two. Why am I wearing this crazy hat? What is the lanyard that you're seeing off screen, among other questions. And I will say, if you are going to troll, at least make it amusing, because most of the time when I block trolls, it's because no one knows how to properly troll anymore. But if you have any questions or comments, please talk amongst yourself in chat, let yourself know in chat. But if you're here to just watch and learn and watch me suffer, well, as I always say every episode, keep lurking and keep learning. So without further ado, let's go into the desktop mode and recap all this craziness I did last month. And as we're switching over, I must say that this is actually why, if you look at the show notes, bless you, there's other people here also, you don't know where they are. I could be surrounded by robots, you have no idea. It's funny enough, actually, I'm kind of wondering what that Roomba is right now, which is the only robot I know is here, but you never know what other robots might show up during a hackerspace. So, what was I getting to? So if you do notice the show's settings, I noticed some people messaged me when they saw the preview for the stream of, why does it say paid sponsorship, or that this is a sponsored stream? So as I was explaining to someone else here before, because I find this hilarious, no one's paying me to do this. Like I say every stream, I actually prefer it that way, because that allows me to talk about different people and organizations honestly. And trust me, you're going to hear some fun gossip on here too, because this was all social stuff, so that's going to be fun. So, full disclosure, as I said, even though I work at the Evertas booth and they paid me to be there, they are not sponsoring the stream. That's why I'm not like, go Evertas. So when I talk about them, I'm just going to talk about them because it's like, I had to find out, like, do I trust this company to work them up, because I never heard of them before, what they did. So anything that I'm going to be talking about here, no one's actually sponsored me on here. It's just because since I technically worked during the convention at the booth for this company, I decided to fully cover my ass and be like, okay, I guess to some degree it's sponsored, even though it's actually not sponsored. So that's why it's set up on there. Hope that clears up any confusion. So let's begin. So again, this is a hackerspace. You're going to be hearing a bunch of different noises, and the reason why I paused there is because I legitimately thought that was a bird, and I got confused because all the windows are closed and it's raining outside. So I was like, did a bird accidentally fly in here? Again, I love this space. I'm going to be talking about it in a second. So, as you can see on the screen here, this is our Medium blog. That was that link that I posted earlier. And on the second page, and I do this every time I stream, and by the way, I have no idea, and I don't know if someone's going to yell when I say this at this space, but holy crap, I got to see preview pictures of the new Hack Manhattan website before it went up, and this looks freaking awesome. Someone just gave me a thumbs up. I'm pretty sure he worked on it. Funny enough, actually, if we can do a quick aside, I want to do a fun comparison here. So if I remember correctly, this DEF CON group is called, funny enough, DEFCON 404. All the numbers are based on area codes. So 201 is the Jersey area code. 404 is the Atlanta, Georgia area code, which is funny because one, it's 404. But another interesting about them is that they're so huge that they actually run both the 404 DEF CON group as well as the 2600 group. So they actually do 2 meetings a month under 2 separate groups. So let's see. Let's see if they changed it. Nope, here it is. So this is funny. Actually, because my camera's pointed down. If you want to come around and see this, because I just think this is hilarious. Let's zoom in a bit. So like this is the current Hackman Hat website that you see here, and it has like all this stuff. And again, what this very much reminds me of is like those old like black and white computers. Particularly, I'm thinking of like the OS Macs before 10. And it's funny because when I looked at this, my first thought was DC G404, which their entire thing is looking like a Mac window homepage thing. So if you actually like jump between the two, they got the visual language really spot on here. So again, extra props for the new design website. Also, like again, as I mentioned before, which I guess I'll go into this rant before I do a little shout out to Hack Manhattan. The accessibility of this, that like everything loads and that things go back to defaults if they don't load, because one of the reasons why I had to delay this stream is because everyone's using not only Luma, but the MySpace load in the 80 megabyte GIF in the background while playing 8 million MP3s at the same time sort of setup on Luma, which meant nothing on the machine worked. I'm pretty sure I could have an RTX 3080 and it would have still crashed. So good job. This is because welcome to the freaking crypto world where Flash completely matters. Who cares about substance? Which is why they horrifically try to hoard as many technical and programming people as they can, because holy shit do they need it. But after that rant here, I'm going to post the website in chat. So it's hackmanhattan.com. Space I just joined. So it's funny because I remember them when they were back on 14th Street. Now they moved upwards to a way bigger space. To be honest, I kind of wish I could do a camera. Maybe in a future thing I'd have permission to just like tour the space. But for now, just know it's a bigger space. It's on 37th Street between 6th and 7th Avenue, and that's where we're filming from right now. And what's even more crazy is that if you look back at the old episodes of the show back when I was living with a bunch of hackers, no matter what time we stream here, it is way more quiet and people are way more polite and there's way less explosions than where I used to live and stream this. So that's why everyone's been pointing that in chat, so now you know why. Again, I just posted the website if you want to check them out, and if you are interested in checking them out in person, because normally you have to be a member in order to go to a hackerspace, but joke's on you, every Tuesday and Thursday from 7 p.m. to roughly 9 p.m., although to be honest, they often go later because everyone is just so hyperactive about showing off stuff. So from 7 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday, there's an open house, and in fact, every second and fourth Tuesday, which you'll see kind of a preview tomorrow online, I do lockpicking here. So in addition to the live stream and doing it at our own meetings, I also do it there every second and fourth Tuesday at the open house. But again, they have an open house every Tuesday and Thursday. So even if I'm not doing lockpicking, you should still totally check that out. And by the way, fun thing, because I remember there's a member here who goes by Moon, or sometimes Luna, here, who let me know about this. Hack Manhattan doesn't sponsor here. They never told me to like shout them out. I'm just so grateful that we're streaming from here that's why I've been doing it every stream that I do it here. Because obviously if I live stream from an actual convention, I'm not going to shout them out unless they like slip up $5 under the table or whatever, but that's why I'm being generous here, because they've been so generous to us. So let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of what's going on. So as I said, and this is going to be the first thing we're going to cover. We're going to cover quickly this thing, and then we're going to go off to all the side events, and then we're going to loop around to the second major convention that I got to experience online, and we're going to watch at least 2, maybe 3 videos from Sub-Zero, but we're going to end it with a talk from Mainnet. So we're going to kind of like start here and kind of go full circles. We'll start with Mainnet and end with Mainnet. So as I said, I'm going to actually hold up the badge on the camera. I went to Mainnet, or it's more like I was invited to work for Mainnet 2023. First of all, honestly, props to the badge design here. I very much appreciate not only just the simplicity of all of this and the fact that they have all the information on the back, such as the dates and times where you can enter in and the Wi-Fi passwords and everything, like right on the freaking con card, but I also appreciate that this is a double lanyard, because nothing makes me excited. I'm looking at New York Comic Con that I am not going to this year for only having one piece, particularly on a pivot, and then your badge just turns into a whirling dervish and spins around all day annoyingly so that nobody knows that you're wearing a badge, and then you get in trouble with security. This just makes a lot of sense. There's a bunch of hacker conventions that could honestly learn from this design, which already told me good things, to be honest, about the convention, because I had no idea what this convention was, but just seeing the badge alone, I was like, okay, I'm in a professional treat here. And it was really professional. Everyone was super nice, from staff to the people attending, except for one thing, but I will get into that, and I'll probably repeat the story tomorrow. I will note that, and actually, let me go into face mode here, just so you can see a more up-close version of the badge. I will note that what was really funny was, so when these people, the people at Evertaz, asked to work at my booth, they were like, okay, we need you to give us a name to call you by, and most people know that I go by both my first legal name and my handle. But I was like, okay, so try to enter my handle. If that doesn't work, you can just enter my legal name, that's fine. And but what was funny was, and they still don't have an answer for this, I think it was basically a glitch on their keyboard when they typed it in. So my handle showed up as Sidepocket exclamation point. And what makes it even more funny is that because I guess the character limit, the exclamation point moved below as if there was a second listing of a name. So it literally reads as, like, I'm not going to scream it, but most people would be like, Sidepocket! But I more read it as Sidepocket, and then the sound effect from Metal Gear Solid when an enemy goes on alert. Like, I don't know why that happened, but that was just a fun, as Bob Ross would say, happy accident that happened during the creation of this badge for me to enter the con. Let's go back to desktop mode. So yeah, it was there. It was at Pier 26, and like I said, it's a hackerspace, so we don't have to perform CPR.
At Hack Manhattan, people poke themselves in the eye with probes. That happens.
See, at DCG 201, we just do that for fun. So, honestly, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We'll monitor all of his biosignatures in the course of the stream. Hey, at least if illegal stuff comes up, you might have good documentation of it. But so, back to the topic at hand. So, Mainnet, it took place at Pier 36, so I'm not going to bring up a map of Manhattan, but if you think of Manhattan and you think of the lower part of it, like where the World Trade Center is, that entire bottom coastline from the South Ferry east is a bunch of piers. There's a very similar thing in Midtown all the way to the west, where all the piers are, and so this is Pier 36. First day I had to bring all the equipment, and none of the MTA was working, so I had to walk that. So it was like 18 blocks of walking with all the lock stuff. That was nuts. But yeah, I did the 3 days. Also, like my job stuff. Oh, cool. Hey, Barbara. All the way from the UK. See, that's why you're tuning in right now, because I'm going to assume that in the UK right now, it's probably like 4 p.m. and over here, basically, the vampires are starting to come out, literally. So, but hey, Barbara, I hope you tuned in. I don't know what you missed, but we're going to be covering a bunch of blockchain conventions, including this one that I actually worked at a booth. So I was at the pier, really nice facility. The weird thing also about this is that, again, this was probably the only website that properly loaded from Crypto Thing. All the others didn't load. That's why you're going to be seeing still images from until we look at the videos. There was a bunch of different speakers, and what I liked about this conference was it kind of reminded me of a really good HackerCon, because obviously, even though there wasn't like real hacking, or like the focus wasn't hacking at this convention, just like really good hacker conventions like Hackers on Planet Earth or DEF CON. Okay, so thank you for letting me know. Since it is a problem, I'm going to switch the codec on here. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to put the headphones on, check. All right, so let me lower the mic volume because it's even more. So I'm just going to double check. Testing. Okay, good. That's loud. Okay. So we're on the codec now that is a bit more. See, thank you for fixing that, because now we have like double the amount of viewers we had before. So it was basically everyone was going crazy over the minor echo in the background. This is the codec that usually works, but it's lower quality and a bit more muffled. So I usually do the other one, particularly for the lockpicking, but I'll probably solve the echo by tomorrow. But thank you again, knowing in chat. And again, if you have a question or there's something going wrong with the chat that I don't notice or whatever, or you want to talk about whatever the hell we're talking about, or what I'm wearing on my shirt and stuff. Again, I love an active chat, talk and chat. But if you're also here to lurk and learn, keep lurking and keep learning. So back to the topic at hand. So like I was saying, what I liked about this was there was a bit of everything at this convention. So what I loved was there was, and I wish I had a picture of this one thing because it's stuck on my phone. They had some really cool tech there. One of the things that now I'm going to actually cover in a future episode was they had this thing of like, even though they were advertising it as a blockchain thing, in general, they were distributed GPU computing. So you didn't even have to do like it with blockchain. Like as long as you needed like GPU power and doing it on a decentralized homegrown network, so it worked kind of like trying to think like kind of like IPFS, where when your computer logs in, now your computer is part of the network until you turn it off, sort of thing. You could use it. So people were using this for like rendering 3D graphics because they don't have a rendering rig and things like that. It just happened to be that one of the uses for this is also crypto stuff. So they were there. So it was really cool tech. Like they had like the actual hardware and stuff. And, Barbara's the most active person. I'm also a very new learner. And I just also want to note, because I don't think I've seen you before, Barbara. If you want to, as anyone else, as I said with the other stuff we're on, such as Twitch and Odyssey and Kick and stuff, if you do follow us on YouTube, not only should you click that bell and turn on all notifications, because YouTube sucks and tries to keep information from you, but by doing that, you'll get all of our updates when we live stream. But if you do that, we'll get a notification for it, and I will cheer you on. Go right ahead. If not, if you want to just bookmark the YouTube page, perfectly fine too. So back to this. So they had that. They obviously had, you can see right here, there's a ton of CEOs and business people. They had a bunch of engineers. They had a bunch of marketing people. It was honestly a really well mix of just all the different types of people involved in this, and you got almost like a real sense of like community from this. So that was very interesting for this. And again, it was also really professional and really well done. The lock picking, which I will cover more on tomorrow's stream, that will hopefully start on time at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we're on the East Coast. That was really fun. Most of the people there, just like we did at the Coney Island Makers Fair, like went from 0 to like 8 billion in 2 seconds. There was, funny enough, the best learner I had at Mainnet was the woman who was in charge of Pier 36. She was the building owner, and she was super nervous. She didn't know this. By the end, she was defeating high-end security locks. It was insane, like in the span of 4 hours. We gave her, like the people I was with Evertest, we gave her like a gift and everything. It was so cool. Everything was great, and people learned so much, and we were so happy to stop by the booth. But there's 2 stories I want to share about this before we go on all the other events that happened there. So one thing that was really funny was the first day I was there. I get there, I'm there the whole day. So I was there all of Wednesday, for an hour on Thursday, and then by accident, I end up being there half a day on Friday. And what was really funny, so obviously all the booths are in... Oh, 3:30. Oh, wow. Okay, so you guys are worse than we are. 3:38 a.m. Wow. I hope you have a strong enough tea over there. I'm probably going to need some myself in a moment, because I ran out of hydration, because that's what millennials do. But so everyone's trying to bring attention to their booth. So fun thing, one of the booths had a magician there. He was really cool. It was a really cool magic and stuff. But what kind of made it funny was, one, I was telling the Evertest guys, like, because I was like, have you guys ever seen or heard of Black Hat USA? One dude who's like their most cybersecurity dude there. He was super nice. I have a couple pictures with him on our socials. He, I do typos too. He, you're gonna probably, if you see the future episodes where I code, you're definitely gonna see typos. I'm notorious for losing track of semicolons and commas. It's insane. So back to the topic. I was making the joke with, if you ever seen the Black Hat USA exhibition floor, which is a very corporate security conference during Hacker Summer Camp every August in Vegas, my running joke is that there's always 2 things at a booth. There's always one booth with a pool table,
and then there's one booth with a magician. I don't know why every year, and there's different booths every year that have them. They kind of like trade magicians and pool tables. There's only ever one. It's not like there's like 5 booths that have 5 different magicians. There's always one. Not even the same person. No idea why. But this gave me like the vibes of that. And then when we finally had the lockpicks out, as they predicted, everyone started swarming the booth. And one person who was like, you have way more people here than the magician. And I started feeling so bad for the magician because he's like, I have friends. I've taught lockpicking to like magicians, and like there's definitely the stereotype of magicians, but at least the ones I know are really cool. And I was like, oh man, this guy's just trying to make a living. I'm like ruining his day by showing up my stupid locks. So that was amusing, but seen some since 2020. Yeah. But the other thing now, you're gonna also hear me reiterate this story. Or at least I'm going to tell the other half of the story tomorrow, but I have to talk about this here just because it happened during the convention. And I promised them we're going to get into more like blockchain, Web3 bullshit. So the thing about the lockpicking is that similar to coding and soldering and everything else that I've ever been involved in, I always have people who are completely new to the subject and they're so worried about doing it because they're afraid of screwing up or looking like an idiot. And I tell them, no. You are my favorite people because I get to not only show you how this works and you get to learn it, but I'm also going to show you mistakes that I made that if I could go back in time, I would tell myself not to do. So you have an even better learning experience than I did. And I have to let people know that every time something ever wrong happens at a hacker convention, it is always because there's someone there who has actual skill in the subject and, quote, knows what they're doing, and they completely fuck it up. And this is one of those cases. I had, for the first time ever, 2 pieces of my equipment broken. Both of these guys knew what they were doing. I saw that because they were picking some of the locks successfully earlier, but man, did they really screw up on that. I have one particular one. So there was this dude in a 3-piece business suit who showed up. And he had 2 lock-picking tools, but no turning tool in the same lock in like a cross shape in the lock, going back. Like it's the stuff that you would see on like, what was that show? Like on the Hawkeye show on Disney Plus. Like it was that level of lock-pick super tree. It would literally be something you would see on a TV show. And like I'm worried he's going to break stuff. I already have one thing that's broken. I'm like, no, stop. And because he said that trying to remember the exact words because I'm going to show you how much of a prick this guy was. It was the only bad experience I had there. It's honestly really funny. He said that he's had what do you call it? Not experience before. That he's has experience with this before. And so I was pointing out that he nearly screwed that up completely as like a goof and like calm down. Like you said that you've done this before, and it's funny because like this is totally not the way to do it. That's fine. I'll show you how to do it. Immediately cuts me off saying that and corrects me and says, no. I said that I've had experience with this. I didn't say that I've done this before. You need to listen better. I'm like, okay. And the thing is, the people at the advertise were talking to this guy, and they wanted to, obviously, like, attempt to do business with him. Normally, I would choose someone out like that, but it's like, okay, I'm just hired here as a guest to do this. I'm just going to let him be in his own ego world. This is the payoff. So as I'm teaching other people, I'm hearing the conversation they have. And obviously the question comes up of, what do you do? And he is one of the main chair people of Coinbase. So to put it this way, saying that you're an asshole from Coinbase is like saying ATM machine in the blockchain community. You basically have to assume that it's kind of like working, I guess, at Microsoft to some degree or something, where you have to, or the NSA, that's an even better one, where you have to assume that because you're working there, you're already like an egotistical asshole, because it's like the only employees that they have. They get hacked all the time. So I was just like, it was one of those like, of course this person is from that, based on their previous behavior. So that's why I'm showing that sort of the only negative thing I had that week, but it's pretty funny, so that's why I'm showing it here. But we're going to get back to Mainnet later on. We're going to watch a very short video from them because it included a really cool guest that I didn't even know was going to be at this convention that might actually surprise you. It makes sense when I tell you who it is if you know their background, but I, for some reason, didn't think they were going to be there despite the obvious signs. So I thought this would be really cool. It's a really cool person, friend of mine. But let's look at some of the other things that was going on during all that. But before we do, I just want to note, because I keep saying, and again, did not sponsor me. I just want to clarify for the stream of who the hell I was working for. So when they were like, okay, we had someone to teach lockpicking there, they dropped out, but then they recommended you and said that you were like extremely good. I'm like, okay, what is this company? Because I didn't want to like join their booth and then find out that they're like the new Sam Bankman-Fried or the new Epstein or whatever. Like, you know, it's like you were supposed to do this as a hacker because we failed this at hacking all. Hackers constantly fail at recon and OSINT all the time. I feel like I'm one of the few people that actively practice doing that. So I'm like, okay, who's this company? Really, by the way, really cool people in person. I've never heard of this company. I'm shocked that this is not more out there. So they do two things. They do actual cybersecurity to the point where they actually do physical security for like the servers that you're running your Web3 stuff on and like your Web 2.0 front end. And actually, I think it's really cool. I don't know if they're the first company to do this, but they're the only company I've ever heard that does insurance for cryptocurrency stuff. Basically, it's the same type of insurance that you get when you join a bank. So, like, you know, obviously when you do a bank like Chase, Bank of America, TD, which is local around here, and things like that. Like, if you get your account gets hacked and the hackers drain like $500 from your account, within a week maximum, your insurance by being part of that bank will then pay back the $500 because their bank. They can do that. They're basically made of unlimited money. That's why they get bailed out all the time. Because of the decentral nature, like the fuck the man thing of like crypto, that didn't exist until now. So what they do is they have a whole infrastructure where apparently you can explain what your assets are. You give a public proof of your identity, so you don't give up your private keys, but it shows that you do have this wallet and stuff. And basically, when you get compromised, because let's face it, that's going to happen. The crypto community had to learn that the hard way. Follow Web3 is great, or what's the other thing? There's Web3 is great, and then there's a group that I follow. They're an actual security company that does crypto stuff called, let's see if I can find them. Long day. Here we go. They're called Peck Shield. Follow Peck Shield or Web3 is great, and you will literally every 8 seconds some major crypto thing gets hacked or there's a new pump and dump or whatever. So when you use your assets on that, they will actually do insurance in order to get at least most of the stuff that you lost back at. And again, as much as everyone's like, oh, we don't want to be real banks, regulation, there's a reason why banks do this. It has nothing to do with being centralized or decentralized. This just makes too much fucking sense. So I think, well, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I hope they're nice. I worked for them, met them, super nice, super humble. That's a big thing in this world. Like trying to find humble people in freaking blockchain bullshit stuff is literally like trying to find a haystack in a needle warehouse. Not even the factory, the warehouse. So again, they did not pay me to say this. I just really liked working with them. And I think what they're doing is really neat to the point where I'm probably going to cover this as an episode in the future. And this is super new. Like they're on the bleeding edge, not only of doing like security, but like insurance, which is like unheard of so far. So I thought that was neat. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Let's cover all the stuff that went around Mainnet. So the first thing, remember I said that we kind of moved the date back on the 15th? Well, I went to this thing. This was a very fun story. So, if you ever go to Crypto Mondays, and I try to most of the time because I think they're really cool people, even when they're talking about boring business stuff, I think it's a really neat place. You meet some really awesome people, like legitimately awesome people. Not like in a business sense, like people who are just like, you know, oh, crap, you lost your bus card, here's $5 so you can get on the bus. Like that type of people. It's shocking because, you know, you see the crypto news and you see like all these like terrible cheaters. And, you know, obviously those exist. But, you know, just let you know, and maybe this is from me from the hacking stuff. You know, obviously there's good hackers, bad hackers. And even though there's a fuck ton of snake oil salesman stuff in crypto, we have to remind ourselves there are legit people who are truly trying to do the good thing and not even making money off of it. They just want to do this. A lot of them are engineers. So I went to this thing at not Empire Dial, at Republic, which is like I wouldn't call it like a hacker space for crypto, but it's kind of more like a business and programming incubator for it. So they have like office space. It's kind of like WeWorks except not stupid. It's really cool, honestly, the space. Like really interesting. You can also use the space if you want to do like podcasts and stuff. I just prefer to do this at Hack Manhattan because I'm a member here and the space is awesome. So at Republic, they had their own independent, and we're going to be visiting Republic twice, by the way. This is the first time. So the Friday before the convention, so the previous week, they had a panel that was called, this is great, Interoperability and Web3. And so I get there, I'm an hour late, so I only catch the later half hour. Really cool stuff, went into really technical things. But the entire time I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have a million questions. And there's like, okay, I don't want to ask the more crazy question, so I'm going to ask this simple question. And I'm worried because I'm like, I think even the simple question, like, they're going to try to shoot me on the spot by asking this question. And it's a question that I love asking when it can come up. So they do it, they open for questions, I let everyone else ask their question, I raise my hand. There's 8 people in the room who know me from Crypto Mondays who every time I ask a question, it's always like an in-depth technical thing or some like really interesting perspective. So everyone's like, here he goes. And they're like looking at this question like it's an Olympic event. And according to them, I did not disappoint. So what I wanted to ask this panel of really professional, like these are like the actual like senior engineers of all this stuff. You have the co-founder and lead engineer of Polygon Labs, one for the ZBEC protocol, Skip protocol, the human Mainnet, the stuff that we've covered in the past and some things we might cover in the future. Then again, the panel was great, but the question came up and I had to ask because I love this question because it's a brain fuck on purpose. The question is, so panels about interoperability with Web3. How much do you think the semantic web, aka Web 3.0, is either going to help or hinder the interoperability goal in Web 3? And the room went dead silent. Look on everyone's face on the panel. And it was the exact thing I was worried about. They had no idea what Web 3. First of all, they thought Web 3 was Web 3.0, which is not. Second of all, I had to explain it, and I felt really sad for this dude. Like I wonder if his boss was in the audience. He never heard of what semantic web is, and I had to explain that to him. He's like, this guy makes like 9 figures. Like he makes like 30 times the amount of money that I do at my boring working job. That's a little bit shaky right now. And I had to explain to him as the lowly bad coder that I am what semantics and semantism in computing and semantic web is. And then they tried to answer the question. And they had one of them, they threw, I think, it over to Bo Lu here from Polymer Labs because he was like, literally, you could hear the robot sounds in his head every time he talked. Threw it over to him. He gave me a decent answer. And then what was funny was after that, I'm talking to different people at this thing. You know, there's a little schmoozing social thing after this. You're drinking some beers and some wine. And you're talking. So I'm doing that. Everyone on this panel avoided me like I had Ebola or something. Like anytime I was around them, they would like turn away and face the wall or like talk to someone that they weren't interested in talking with before, but because I was showing up there talking with, none of them wanted anything to do with me, and I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. I felt bad too because I didn't want to like stump the panelists or whatever. It just friggin' happened. And I've done the rant before about semantic stuff in Web 3.0 versus the Web 3 because I hate the term Web 3. It's like I will actually defend a lot of like blockchain stuff, but NFTs in general and then the term Web 3, hate that. But it's like, and I wasn't even trying to be mean or anything. It's just welcome to me at frickin' conventions and what do I get kicked out of everything. So that was the first thing. So this is how it started with me that week. Then I went to something, this is probably the quickest explanation, which was, and I love the title, because this is like the least snazziest title for an event. It was run by the Blockchain NFT Crypto Network people, which I've been to a couple of their rooftop parties before, because they love doing rooftop parties for some reason. guess they were trying to get them out of the way before the weather went bad. This was called the cleverly named Unofficial Mainnet Roof Networking Event. And by the way, that's I think a 3D printer, I believe, going off. That is not, because the chat's asking, are we microwaving popcorn? I could go for no, it's not a sorry thing. They were just curious about it, because the beeping does sound like a microwave that's like ready for popcorn, and now I'm hungry for popcorn now. So,
Me too.
damn you, chat! Why do you do this, chat? By the way, if you're hungry for popcorn like me, you should totally like, share, and subscribe to us on Twitch. Twitch, YouTube, PeerTube, Odyssey, and Kick, and all the other things that we're on. And if you do so on the stream, even though we don't really get them for that much of this show, we always get them, a lot of them, for Master of Unlocking. I should be able to get notifications here. In fact, before I explain quickly what this event is, and by the way, we're already like over one-third of the way through this stream. Just want to make sure I have all the alerts on. Okay. I have them on. I will do some house cleaning and move the rest of them up. They should be all at the top. So let's do some quick house cleaning here, which will allow me to have a short video. Actually, what is going on here? Properties. Okay. Properties. Huh. Here it is down here. That's incredibly interesting. Cool. In fact, let me fully embrace the chaos. Do this. Good. Okay. That's enough house cleaning for today. Up. There we go. All right, so quick summary about this event, because you weren't missing much. So the cleverly named Unofficial Mainnet Rooftop Networking event was done by the Blockchain NFC crypto people. This was the end of the Wednesday. And as you can see on the side, it says here, free food. And in fact, if you look, by the way, the high top roof bar, never been there before. Always walked by that hotel. Really snazzy rooftop, for real. And it was very like usually when you go to a rooftop bar, it's like super decadent and indulgent, and usually has a way too hardcore tiki theme for my taste. But this more felt like you were kind of like in someone's living room that they just cleaned. Like there was couches everywhere. It was very relaxed atmosphere, very much like it. It wasn't like hoity-toity. So good on them. David, who runs the thing, love David. Again, this was a completely free after event. He's really generous, awesome dude. Should have been an awesome event, because I'm not here to shit on this event, but here's what happened. Basically, long story short, he thought there was going to be way more people than there was. And there were a bunch of people, but I'll put it this way, there was probably like 20 to 40 people at any given time. The space can hold over 200, and that's kind of who like signed up. Was like 200, 250 people. So the problem is, if you notice that free food thing, so because crypto people are obsessed with pizza thanks to Bitcoin Pizza Day, they literally had 1 billion pizza boxes there. And that meant that they had way more pizza than they did people. So anytime anyone left, you could just take stacks of pizza home with you, as many as you could carry. A lot of people had cars, so they took pizza home. I don't really have a way to store that much pizza, but I remembered, oh, wait a minute, here's a fun thing. On certain Wednesdays, Hack Manhattan has a thing where it's like an open fix-it night, and you can just bring in hardware that you're working on or is broken, and other people will help you fix it. And so I was like, those people might be hungry. So I was like, can I take 2 pizzas? And he's like, sure, yeah, we have like 1 billion pizzas. They need to get rid of these. So I found a whole, and these pies were like the size of like the tables here. So I got a whole plain and a whole pepperoni, which was about like a carry, to be honest. And I walked all 8 blocks over here and was like, surprise, here's all this pizza. Just make sure to wash your hands, because I know you've been soldering and everything. You don't want to get the lead stuck in your brain, and then it's there until you're dead. And everyone's like, oh man, Sidepocket bought pizza. Yay, our life is complete. So that was like the highlight of that. Fortunately, like, party was really chill. I basically ate pizza, I charged my phone, watched stuff on my Nintendo Switch, played some games on my Nintendo Switch, talked to like 3 people. But the highlight was they had way more pizza than they had people, so I got to take a couple of boxes home to this awesome place I'm now a member of. So that was just a fun story. So then the day later, speaking of pizza, and actually I might have to dig through this bag because I might still have anything. So a couple episodes ago, there was Bitcoin Pizza Day, and so there was a group that I didn't hear of until the last minute, and that's where I live streamed from, which is called Pizza DAO, which is a group of people who essentially, put it this way, they're like Dogecoin people, but they're actually like not lame, which is kind of shocking. What I mean by that is like, Dogecoin started off as like this joke like on a chain, and then it turned into a real thing because that's what Elon Musk does because he's a moron. Yeah, I said it. So Pizza DAO's whole thing is that they basically like sponsor events and activities and charities they have a ton of money because of the exchanges and NFTs they run. So basically like, hey, you're trying to raise money for like children's cancer and you're into blockchain stuff. Hi, we're Pizza DAO. We're going to send you a ton of pizza and we'll give you a bunch of money to make sure you actually do the event. Just have our logo on your flyer. That's it. So the fun thing is that, so that's what they do, and of course they had to do their own party for Mainnet the next day. So yes, they did have pizza there. Pizza was really good quality compared to the one at the cleverly named unofficial Mainnet rooftop networking event. It sounds like it's made by ChatGPT, but it was very spicy, I might add. And there was a bunch of things there. They also had, honestly, they had also really good alcohol there, which oh my God. If there's one thing, honestly, never mind like the rug pulls and snake oil salesmen and stuff. If there's one thing to get really mad at about goddamn crypto stuff, especially like their in-person events, the crypto people, they have no concept of how alcohol works. It's like when you go to like a crypto event, right? They have like one unique IPA, which is not even a good IPA, but it's going to be the IPA you're going to be drinking because everything else sucks. And then it's like high-end bullshit wine that I'm not concerned about, and like fucking White Claw, and that's it. Like that's all they have. There's no. That's what made this cool. See, someone was smart, and I can actually tell you why they were smart in a moment. But like this party had good whiskey, it had gin. They had tequila. They had like I was like, oh my God, I'm home, and like it was so great. Like of course they had the White Claw there because that was provided by Republic the venue, but like the Pizza DAO people and some of their partners, I was like, wow, like this actually had real alcohol. You guys have the best whiskey of all of Mainnet. There were some that were close, but they definitely did just for that. And let me look in this bag because I think I might have one or two things left over from them because I can't remember if I took them out of this bag or not. So here's the thing. They had a couple of sponsors. You guys probably remember this from the last Pizza Down stream. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what the. Let me go to Basecamp. We're basically halfway done with this episode. I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck is this thing. Not this physical thing, because I know what it is. This whole concept. They're called Noggles. Basically, it's a fucking NFT project. It's the same thing, which is, it's one of those generative ones, which means it has a pixel art. The thing is, they all wear these like stupid fucking glasses, but the actual like characters that wear that are like these 8-bit generated things. And there's supposed to be a thing where when you wear these and you use like the app, it does like a weird AR 3D effect. And just for everyone's goddamn amusement, I am gonna put these on, even though I kind of half broke these at the party, just so that it's like, I already look pretty fucking stupid. But if you want to see me look really goddamn stupid. There we go. That just sees itself on the camera. It looks even worse. There you go. I look like a really scared DuckTales character. That's what I look like right now. I don't even know what this is. This is a USB port. I have no idea what the hell this is. I literally don't. Yeah, I know. I know that. It just looks bad. That's all it is. Like I put this. The art itself actually looks cool, especially for what it is. But this is just. Let's take these off. This is make my vision worse. Oh man. I don't even know what to say after that. This is like there should be like a challenge at DEF CON to like how long you could wear these and not get punched in the face. Like you have like a timer. It's just time of like how long. Like is it going to be 8 seconds? Is it going to be 12 seconds? We're going to find out. That was one of the sponsors there that was weird. But another sponsor, and I'm trying to see. I got a napkin from them. And this is probably why, if I can find it, yeah, here it is. They had good alcohol there because they also had a really cool business card. But the problem is that they did the stamping wrong. So like, it's supposed to be a QR code. To quote Silent Hill 2, it's gone now. It's just, this is like, they're trying to study the hieroglyphics from this. But I have a napkin with a better, with what the QR code was supposed to be, and kind of their company logo here. So it's called Glass. And honestly, this is kind of interesting to the point where I'm probably going to make an episode next year about these people, which will be great because it'll be a great excuse to fucking get hammered on the stream. Let's go back to desktop mode. So I'm highlighting this sponsor just because they were really cool people to talk to, and I thought this was a very interesting kind of concept. So what they basically are is they are a brand, service, and also product trafficking service in blockchain and Web3 for alcohol. So this is booze on the chain, which sounds like a bad idea in theory, but when I was practicing there, again, we actually had real gin, we had actual real tequila and stuff like that, and these were all like independent brands that were signed with them. Really good tasting stuff also, so I honestly can't complain. It sounds like a stupid concept, but it actually got him. It's like it's kind of like the iPhone. It looks fucking stupid, but everyone likes it because it works. So I can't complain with that. So props to them. You know, I would love to do an episode of just with them to legit talk about the stuff they do, but also just get wasted on the stream. That would be really fun. Maybe we could do some like blockchain drinking games or whatever. Let's find out. So, and we're almost done with the episode, by the way. We're about to get to the videos. So the next thing, now this will be quick. I'm going to highlight this because this was so annoying. This was so cool. This was done by the Sparks people and partnered with the ZK Pass, another group that I'd like to talk to because they do a lot of like really high-end coding security stuff. It's called Ignite the Future, and it was so fucking cool. Let's see if I can actually. I'm gonna attempt the demo gods. Let's see if I can actually load the page. Okay, I'm gonna stop it loading right there. Cool. Okay. Yeah. It stopped the background. Because let me read some of the stuff they had going on there. First of all, it was hosted at MasterCard's headquarters in New York City. So this was done by like a bank. That's where they were located. And let's see what they had here. They had a keynote, a tech talk with ZK Pass with interactive demos. They had a whole thing about ZMK. Let's see here. Yeah, they had like example, like you could like play an actual like Web3 game while the code was running at the same time and analyze it. They had a whole mini security summit. It was really goddamn cool, as well as a VIP after party, and it was so cool. And I wish I could have visited it because it was going on between fucking 12 noon until 5 p.m. Which is the same exact goddamn time that Mainnet is where I'm fucking working. And I get it. And we even advertised this event where we're like, hey, if you couldn't afford or get into Mainnet, here's Ignite the Future. It's completely free to RSVP and attend. So at least people had free stuff. But why did you have to do the most amazing shit during the same time as the goddamn convention? This is like you're doing the what was that thing called during Hacker Summer Camp? You're doing the SquadCon thing, but in reverse, where at least SquadCon got attention because the situation was around. There was no need to do this during the same time as the actual convention. You could have did this from like 6 to 10, like another thing we're about to cover in a moment, and gotten so much better attention and reception. I'm sure there was a ton of people there. But I would have totally loved to report about it and gush about it and show like pictures and videos of like all the code demos you're running. If you didn't just do it at the same time you did it. This is like trying to do like your own mini convention during DEF CON, but you don't even have a good excuse like SquadCon had. It's just why? So moving on, here's the actual thing who was smart enough to do this from 6 p.m. to 9 to 10 p.m., which I never heard of them before. I heard that there was Polygon Guilds. I didn't know there was one in New York. And this was really cool. It was more of the senior engineers overall talking about their projects than like the individual engineers pointing out the different aspects of the stuff they're working on. But it was still really cool behind the scenes. Again, I like Polygon, formerly known as Matic, and as you see on the shirt, we're going to look into second Polkadot, simply because they are the most tech chains there. Like I can't really speak much about Polygon because I only had a couple of interactions with them. But all the stuff I've ever done with Polkadot, like what it's insane because like even their investors actively like code in Python and stuff. It's fucking ridiculous. Like they are very hard to bullshit because if you try to pitch something, like the first thing, like every Polygon, there's always like some outside investor who wants to talk about like building something, and the first thing they're like, oh cool, do you have any demo codes that you have? Like, do you have like a portfolio, or like, do you have like a building concept for this? And then that kills most of the stuff. Like, they are very snake oil proof, literally because of how tech focused they are. And from what I heard, because it's their direct rival, Polygon is very similar. So just pointing out some stuff here. They did a whole coverage of the chain. They went over, and this is going to be some of our future subjects on this show, by the way. They're covering the Rally protocol, which is very new. I can't wait to talk about that. Let's see here. They had the whole thing with the Fala network, which is something I also want to talk about. Trust networks and Circle, which is I've wanted to do a whole thing about some of the new wallets that have popped up in just the last year and a half alone. Really cool, like behind the scenes sort of coding stuff, and also just meeting with other developers and stuff. Some of these people are really excited about when we do DCG 201 meetings in the future because they want to attend those. That was this type of crowd, and I fucking love them for that. So really cool. And again, unlike the Ignite people, you were smart enough to do this after the fucking Mainnet convention. So props to you guys. And the last two things that we're at before we rewind and go to the other major convention that happened in September. I was at the Farcaster Happy Hour. First thing, I got invited by 8 people to this thing. I was like, what the fuck is a Farcaster? We are totally covering this as a future episode. Basically, there's another thing that's kind of like this that also uses blockchain check, but they're more like, I'll put it this way. So you know Mastodon, where you spin off basically your own Twitter. I'm just making this like this. It's way more complicated and nuanced than that, but I'm just doing it super simple. Farcaster is literally Mastodon, but it works on a blockchain backend, and apparently it works really well because I again researched, checked them out, looked at the code, I was like, wow, this is legit. To the point where I was like, maybe we should spin up our own node on this. There's another one called Nostr, which is another group I want to cover. The difference between them is Farcaster is similar to Mastodon to some degree, where there's code, but you can just like plug and play stuff. Nostr is like trying to do Mastodon through the terminal. Like there is a GUI element to them, but they are way more code and like network based. And Farcaster is very GUI based. I think both are interesting experiments. The happy hour was really fun, and it was very nearby. One of the people actually from Evertest paid an Uber for me to go there, along with the rest of basically they treated me as if I worked at their company. So they were like, oh, we want you to carry all this lock stuff. Here's like a first class Uber. I've never been in one. That was a weird experience. It was basically like being in a tiny limo. It was really fun. And the actual thing itself is really cool. It's the usual bar hangout. Like, have you ever gone to the NY Sec meetups? It was like that, but with like blockchain coding stuff. Really neat. And then around the corner, literally 2 blocks away, was this thing. Now, I'm personally mad, and now we've reached over the 2/3 mark, because I had a badge for this thing. It's stuck on the wall of my storage unit as I was packing to come here. Later on, when I do the thank you for watching the stream, everybody, which again, I want to remind, if you do like the stuff that you see so far, and we're about to watch some videos in a moment, you can like, share, and subscribe completely for free on Twitch, YouTube, PeerTube, Odyssey, recently Kick, and for 4 out of the 5, PeerTube can't do this yet, but for Twitch, YouTube, Odyssey, and Kick, we do have notifications for them if you still want to follow during the stream. You can also follow after the stream, not this time, but we often, a bunch of people follow us between streams. Probably going to be doing this tomorrow, and I talk about, thank all the people who followed when we weren't on air. But when you're on air, we get a notification for which you're on. Just also a note, because YouTube is such a poorly coded piece of shit that really hates their users, when you do follow us on YouTube, make sure to click that stupid as a bell next to our logo, and then put it on all notifications on, aka the bell's completely filled in, so that way you can actually get notifications when we go on the live stream instead of when YouTube fucking feels like it. I swear to fucking God. So I went to this thing, it was called the Next Crypto Wave Party. It was mainly hosted by Pionex and BBS NYC. And by the way, BBS does not stand for Bulletin Board System. I can't remember what it stands for in their company, but they're basically, I'll put it this way. If Mainnet was like the DEF CON of the East Coast crypto stuff, BBS NYC is like the Hackers on Planet Earth of their sort of thing. It's another major con. They're both basically kind of rivals. So I think it's kind because I think it's funny that Mainnet happened, and I guess BBS NYC supported all the after parties. And I'm pretty sure, I guess, when BBS does their own convention, Mainnet and Messerai is the main company behind Mainnet, probably sponsors all the after parties. Of like, we're going to play like a friendly rivalry and keep tabs. This event was nice, very loud, extremely crowded. The people at Pyrenex, and Pyrenex, by the way, is a Chinese-based sort of blockchain and wallet company. They had a mic, and like I was there, like, eat the microphone, because literally all of them, they were like making major announcements and doing like Ferrari giveaways and stuff. But everyone who went up, because they're like all engineers, were there like, thank you for coming to Pyrenex. We're all here at the blockchain. We're like, no one can fucking hear you. Eat the mic. Like, they had the mic like 3 feet away from their face, and you could tell that they had it on the lowest things. It's like, come on, use your outdoor voice, dude. Be a loudmouth asshole like I am. So, but it was another kind of fun event. And again, I wish I had a little badge that said that, because they when you came in, you had to tell your rank, and I was trying to describe it. It's like, I'm a hacker that's doing lockpick at the Evertest booth. And we're like, engineer tech person. John me, so I was like, okay, that's what you know. I'm very flexible with my tech pronoun, so if that's what you want to call me, that's what you can call me as. So that was kind of the end of all the extracurricular stuff at Mainnet. So that was really cool. So now we're going to be at the end bit here. This is probably honestly technically the longest section. I actually might skip around during this. So believe it or not, there was a thing that happened before Mainnet started, because Mainnet was only from Wednesday through Friday. There was a completely different thing that was happening from Monday through Wednesday. Again, it was like Hacker Summer Camp, but for blockchain shit. And it was from our friends at Polkadot. You probably remember this, the last stream we had where we covered Polkadot Decoded. That's why I'm wearing the Polkadot shirt, because they had another convention, because they just love having goddamn conventions, called Sub-Zero. No, that's not related to the Mortal Kombat 1 game. I wish it was. This is their main tech coding. So Polkadot Decoded has a mix of tech and businesses. This is like pure code networking infrastructure stuff. And because Polkadot has a hate boner now for the United States and any Western country, like traditional Western country, they decided to host this in Portugal for no fucking reason, the same way they decided for no reason to host. Like Decoded, they last time they hosted it in 5 different cities around the world, including New York, and this year they decided to hold it in fucking Norway, and now they're in Portugal. I'm waiting for them to do the next one in Morocco or something, and I'm afraid to say that, because I'm going to probably give them fucking ideas. But at least, like their previous conventions, you could experience the whole thing online, even though, because they know people can't obviously make it to fucking Portugal. So even people in Portugal can't make it to a place in Portugal. So they had the whole thing online. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to take literally a 30-second to a minute long break, and then we're going to watch at least 2 of the interesting tech videos. I'm going to make comments, mostly at the end, but I might pause it if something too outrageous or too interesting is said. And then we're going to play one short video from a really cool special guest that was at Mainnet. It was a friend of mine that I was not expecting to show up, and then we'll wrap up the stream. So I need to like rehydrate and cry in a sink for a bit, just because I've been having that type of week. This has actually been the fun part of my week, if you can believe it or not. So give me about 30 seconds to a minute and listen to some nice music, and we're going to watch some cool tech videos. So stay tuned. Crypto Barons with Sidepocket. We'll be back, as they used to say when I was younger, after these short messages. There's no ads, by the way. You're just going to listen to some funky music while watching a very interesting custom prompt that makes it look like we're actually live television if we're not. Okay, here we go. I'm going to fuck off for 30 seconds. Be right back, chat. And we are back. I don't know why the music didn't turn off. Here we go. Come on. Technology, work. Work. Actually, how about I do this? There we go. Now, will you stop now? You're not stopping. Don't make me quit you. Alright, you know what? Let's play it the hard way. Bam! Quitting app. I'm going to open it later, so we'll do different music on the outro stream. Let's put some face on. Pretty face here. Oops, sorry, I have the desktop audio on. There we go. Alright, so I'm back. Welcome back to Crypto Barons on the DCT21 live stream. This is the show where we talk about cryptocurrency technologies. And if I actually want to see all you beautiful folks in chat, I should probably put my glasses back on. There we go. Because I am nearsighted. Again, if you like the stuff that I've been talking about and that I'm about to talk about, and this is probably going to be the laziest portion of the stream because we're at the end bit. This is going to be the last third of the stream. You can hit like, share, and subscribe completely for free on Twitch. Why do I always keep saying DLive even though we haven't been on DLive for months? Twitch, YouTube, PeerTube, Odyssey, and recently Kick, because that's the new thing. Because, you know, someone has to stream real content that's not people gambling in bikinis and hot tubs. Not that I'm against the later, I'm very much against the former, but that's a whole can of worms for another day. By the way, if you are watching us on Kick, which I see one of you out there, hey, out there, we're going to be streaming a lot more. I was on a hiatus for a month because I had to deal with stuff in life, and now I'm back to first talk about blockchain stuff, and tomorrow we'll be talking about lockpicking. So there we go. So we've been recapping basically a crazy week of just blockchain, Web3, cryptocurrency crap that happened in New York City one that I worked at, which is at the Advertise booth. I was doing lockpicking to advertising their booth. That's why this is paid sponsorship, because even though this company is not sponsoring us, I don't want to seem like, people are going to think I am. So I was like, just fuck it. I'll just put the flag on. So that's what it is. It's the same way while I'm wearing the Maserati hat, which I got for free at the convention that most people did, because they were the ones who did Mainnet, which was one of the main things that was going on, as well as a ton of after parties. And what we're going to end it with is there was another convention that happened before that I had to attend entirely online, because there's no fucking way I'm going to end up with my broke ass to Portugal, uh, known as Sub-Zero, unrelated to the Mortal Kombat 1 game that just came out. And here it is. We're going to take a quick look at their site. So I'm going to read their stupid description for it. Sub-Zero is where Sub-Zero is where Web3 innovators and visionary builders come together and share insights, work on groundbreaking ideas, and collectively stay ahead of the curve. It's a fucking blockchain convention that engineers attend in goddamn Portugal. That's what it is. Again, blockchain builders, smart contract builders, technical makers, students. That's what this was for. And just like what Polkadot decoded in the previous years, they had a very extensive, like, you can basically attend this thing for free virtually online and feel like you're not missing anything except for just flying to Portugal. So that was really neat. And what I have is I have a bunch of videos from some of the different tech talks that they have there. So I'm going to be mostly quiet. I'm going to be commenting mainly at the end of the videos, although if they say something really interesting, outrageous, I might pause the video and chime in. We're going to watch at least 2 of these, maybe the 3 that I have. And then there's going to be a shorter video that we're going to watch that's from Mainnet. It's going to loop around, and as they said in Big Lebowski, it's going to really tie the room together, where a really cool friend of mine showed up that I did not know they were going to. It was like I was slowly getting hints. I was like, wait a minute, they're here, and this is happening. So does that mean? And I even asked Steph, I'm like, are they there? And then they were like, because they knew them under a different name, and they were like, holy crap, they're. So we're gonna watch this, and it was so cool to like meet them at the thing. It was like such a treat. I felt like I wasn't alone. I wasn't like the only hacker there, so that was kind of fun. I'll give you a hint right now. It wasn't Dark Tangent. That would have been really weird and really awkward. And it would have been a really awkward hug. So anyhow, let's watch some videos and comment on them. So let's go.
It's actually a nice.
So the first video, and this is probably honestly the most like tech. And this is already like, these are all going to be tech stuff. I had to choose like the most techiest and interesting subject of security and engineering. So this is called, and let me breathe in because it's going to be a mouthful, Enhancing Privacy and Cross-Chain Messaging, Untraceable Credentials with TEEs, by Alden, who works for the Integree company. So I'm going to put on my headphones, and we're going to listen to Alden talk about privacy and cross-chain messaging on the Polkadot network. Here we go.
Talk after Antonio from Kilt, because we are kind of doing the counterpart. So now you learned how you can bring your identity from one chain to the other chain. And what I'll be talking about is how can you bring some information from one chain to the other chain without revealing your identity. So instead of linking, what we want to do is unlink. So it's a complementary part. And that will be, you will see a demo about how that actually happens. So let's take a fictional use case. We have information on one chain, which in this example is Encounter, and the information is personhood. So you just know that someone is a real person and associated to only one account. So on the other side, we have, for example, the frequency blockchain, but it could be killed just as well, Subsocial or any other chain interested in personhood information. And on top of frequency, you have, for example, the MeWe social network. And a social network has a benefit if you know that one person can only have one account on that network, or at least one account with this.
By the way, I just want to quickly comment that I'm just multitasking. I'm like catching up on some stuff while I'm listening and half watching the video. So I am absorbing all of this. I'm just multitasking because that's a skill I have. So back to this gentleman.
Proof of personhood, because that helps you defend against all kinds of Sybil attacks. So the use case of what we want to do is we want to take personhood information from one chain and bring it to another chain, but in a way which is privacy preserving. Because the problem is, if you have this unique person badge on MeWe and your information is linkable, then all your on-chain activities will be linkable. And for example, you can look up what the balance is on Encounter from that person, not only the balance, but the spending behavior, all kinds of things that you don't really want to expose just because you have a profile on MeWe, or especially not if you have a profile on MeWe. Because there you might reveal your real name, which you didn't over here. And this information we really need to keep separate. So the Polkadot ecosystem has a very nice and unique feature called XCM, cross-chain messaging, which could actually provide this use case in various ways. But let me go into the first way, which is really horizontal message passing. So the user would initiate an XCM transaction on the Encounter chain, which would go through the Kusama relay chain, because it's even cross-consensus here, because Encounter is on Kusama and frequency is on Polkadot. It would go through the bridge hubs and then invoke a state transition on that side to get this nice batch. Now, this is one way how you could do it, but I want to argue that even if you don't use anything of integrity, that it's not the right way to do it. Actually, if you just need state transition to happen on one of the chains, then you should work with storage proofs. Then you shouldn't actually send XCM messages across all of those hops. What you should do is the user gathers a storage proof on Encounter, commits that proof over here. You actually presented it nicely before, why that is a nice use case. And then you just evaluate that storage proof on the other side. That is a lot cheaper than going through all those horizontal message passing ways. However, it still doesn't fulfill our use case, because we want it to be unlinkable, and this is still linkable. If you have a storage proof on that side, you can still link it back to the origin, and you still have linked information which you would have liked to be separate. So here enter integrity with a way how you can unlink cross-chain message passing even across different consensus system. The only requirement that we currently have is that you are connecting two substrate-based chains. But that's purely, I mean, this can be circumvented as well, but our SDK just offers this now, and I will demonstrate it. So the idea is the following. You have a trusted execution environment. I will talk in a minute about what that is and why it is cool. This trusted execution environment has light clients into all those three chains, and it can send extrinsics to all those three chains. That means it can verify storage proofs, and it can initiate state transitions. So in the case of Encounter, what is it going to do? Your user opens a TLS connection with the Oracle and says, you know what, my account on Encounter is this one. My reputation on personhood is this. Here are the proofs. And my account on the frequency side is another one.
Always TLS.
And because the TE can process this information confidentially, and because you have a TLS connection to the TE, this linkable information will stay invisible to the outside, even to the operator of the TE. So the idea really is, we prove something to the TE, and then the TE will sign an extrinsic on our behalf, which will award personhood on the frequency side. Now, this sounds a little bit too good to be true, right? Because why would frequency accept this extrinsic? Anyone could send it.
Why the fuck do I hear
So we need a way of whitelisting who may send these kinds of proofs. And that's where the integrity chain comes in. But first, let me just give you a very, very rough idea of what TEs are for all those who are not familiar with it. TEs are a hardware feature which guarantees that a certain process is executed confidentially and with integrity. So you can be sure that a specific software has been executed, measured by the hash of the software. So if you have deterministic build, you can really be sure that a certain source code corresponds to what is running on that service. And it is run confidentially, and this is actually the novelty, or one of the main novelties here. You are all used to having IT admins who see everything. So they can, they are not allowed to, but they could read your emails. And if maybe today you are with Microsoft, and they cannot, but then at least Microsoft can, or the admins of Microsoft can. So the key here is not even that we distrust the admin, but we accept that everything can be hacked. And the problem is, if we execute something and we trust the admin, and some malware can enter the system and augment its privileges, it can do exactly the same what the admin can do as well.
Just wanted to pause the video because, again, this is why I like this community, because it's really weird and very rare to hear, even in recent times, multiple different tech sectors to say exactly what he said. And that's why I like this field and community overall. And that's why I particularly like the Polkadot stuff, because I told you they're engineer as shit. They get this.
But not with TEs. With TEs, you can execute a certain service, and malware cannot change what is executed, and it cannot see the data which is processed. And so the technology that we are using is Intel SGX, not because we are particularly fond of all the policies in how they do it, but they are the only TE technology which provides remote attestation. And I want to walk you through the cycle of trust if you work with TEs. So it all starts with the code. If the code is crap in, crap out. If the code is not preserving privacy, then neither will the TE. So we start here, and we can audit that code, have it audited by third parties maybe. But then what we need to do is we need to release that software. We need to build a binary which is executable. And here it is essential that this build is a deterministic build, because then we have a strict relationship between code and the binary and the hash of the binary. Then we can execute it on a machine which has the Intel SGX feature, which is all the Intel servers currently. And you don't need to trust the operator of that machine to actually execute the right software. But now comes the critical thing, and here is one of the main value adds of the integrity network. The problem is, you need now to remote attest what is running here, because how would the user know that what is executed here? And that's the process of remote attestation. If I let you execute my code, how do you convince me that it is actually my code that you are running? So there is Intel attestation services. They can do that for you as a service. Data centers provide that as well. But we have a vision here in Web3, which is unstoppability. And we don't want Intel to be in the power to censor use cases. So if we use their remote attestation stuff, then the problem is that they could say, oh, the hash of your software is this. We have blacklisted that software, it is illegal. We will not give you any remote attestation. So here enter the integrity network, because we do the entire remote attestation process on our public chain. Actually, this is called the DCAP process, which was initially meant, so Intel developed this such that data centers who are not Intel can provide remote attestation on behalf of Intel. And we take it one step further and we say, you know what, we even cut the data center out of this chain, so you can send whatever proof the TE creates directly to our chain where it is verified. And this is now closing the trust loop in the entire story, because now the user can look up on the chain if the service that they are talking to is indeed running the software that they think it is running, and if it is running on a genuine SGX machine. So now the user can open a TLS connection to that TE, and the certificate, the TLS, well, it could be HTTPS, whatever, WebSocket, the certificate from that side will be signed with the key, which you can look up on the integrity network. Okay, so that was a little excursus on the matter of TE, but now back to cross-chain messaging. So I just want to quickly compare the two. XCM will be forever linkable with the chain history, whereas the TE bridging that we present is unlinkable under certain assumptions, of course. One of the assumptions, or one of the guarantees, is just K anonymity. Because if you're the only one who ever sent a message over that bridge, well, then you're linkable, obviously. XCM is so far consensus internal, or you need an established bridge between the two if you want to use it, which we will hopefully see very soon between DOT and KSM. On the other side, obviously you have to trust the design of a TE because it's a hardware feature. It can have flaws, and it did have vulnerabilities in the past, which are always kind of kept up with from side of Intel, but we need to accept that this kind of things can happen. And one more important difference is you do not need a HRMP channel established. That's kind of, so if you need an HRMP channel, both chains need to accept. One proposes, the other accepts. With our proposal, you don't have this, you don't need, neither of the chains needs to say yes, because everybody can read this chain and everybody can write into that chain. So there is complete agility in terms of cross-chain messaging. Okay, so now I just want to show you a demo, and this is what you're going to see.
Tempting the demo.
So you will see the encounter chain, the integrity chain, and a node template. So we didn't take frequency or kilt or whatever. It's just really a very simple node template, and the extrinsic which will be executed is the do something with an ID. So you can imagine that you pick an ID that you want to be associated with you, which is just an integer number. But in the end, accounts are all integer numbers, just with a few more bits.
Ain't that the truth?
All right. So you will see how we create proof of personhood. It will be evaluated and it will be committed on the node template side. So now I would ask production to start the video. Exactly. So we start with the integrity node, then the encounter node. We are starting them all up. The substrate node template. And finally, the Integrity SDK-based personhood oracle, we call it. And this personhood oracle will now start up, and it will start by sending an extrinsic to the integrity node, register SGX enclave, and it needs to provide remote attestation in order to be included. And now all the oracle does, it listens to events on all those 3 chains, and it acts on certain events. So here we already see Alice has tried to obtain personhood proof, but she doesn't have any reputation, so it failed. I'm sorry, I should talk a bit faster. So what happens now, we have Alice, Bob, and Charlie performing the encounter protocol. So they register their community, they attend a personal key signing event, and then they will get 3 times the encounter basic income and 3 times proof of personhood. So now Alice can try again. And you see she picks the number 42 as her identity.
The name, the universe,
and this time
everything.
It works. So we see that the something stored event has been thrown. That means the extrinsic on the node template has actually taken place. Now, obviously, we didn't involve any whitelisting here. That goes beyond the scope of this demo. And we want to show that Bob can do the same, picks a different number, and again, something stored. But now if Ferdy tries it, Ferdy doesn't have any reputation, any personal reputation on Encounter, picks his number, and it will fail. And there is an entire additional story here, because we also need to make sure that Alice cannot claim 2 numbers, but that goes beyond the scope. Encounter has a solution for that, but for this talk, it is out of scope. Okay, so that basically is the end of the demo. All I want to add now is, like, how can you build this stuff? Because integrity, it is an exception that integrity actually builds the use cases, because we want to provide the SDK, we want to provide the primitives for you to build on it. So that's why already last year we published the sidechain SDK and the Oracle framework. So you can, with our SDK, you can either build second layer technology for scalability, for privacy, for interoperability, for whatever you want to use it. The Oracle framework just allows you to bridge Web 2 content into Web 3, like, for example, exchange rates of your favorite token. And this is in production as well since March. And if you don't have a TE, you need to rent it somewhere. And if you rent it with the cloud providers that are around, you still need to worry about a lot of stuff. So we have simplified that for you. We actually provide a subscription service where you can just order a Kubernetes cluster of TEs for your use case. And our very new announcement in August is the attestation service. That was what I was talking to on kind of the full circle trust, that you can do decap on our network. And the attestier specifically is a service which acts as a proxy to our network. Because all you need to do to get remote attestation now is produce a quote and send it to our REST API, and the attestier will forward it to the chain. So you don't actually need to integrate anything in your solutions which are based on TEs. So it can be Web 2 solutions, but you can still benefit from the remote attestation on our network. All right, that does conclude my talk, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Alan? Yep. me a sec.
Yeah, thank you very much for your talk.
Very
so my
curious what
question
questions
is,
they're going to ask.
what measures are in place to ensure security and reliability of TE-based solutions in cross-chain messaging, especially when dealing with sensitive data?
Sorry, I didn't get the beginning of your question. What security measures are in place?
Yeah, to ensure security and reliability of TE-based solutions.
Okay, okay. So the security aspect of it is what we are actually using from Intel SGX, right? We are not TE engineers. We use TE as a tool. So you need to accept the security model which comes with Intel SGX currently if you use our solution. However, there is more to it because it's not only about security, it's also about availability, I guess, because you want to have a service. So what we can provide with our SDK is that you can replicate, that you can have redundancy, and with shared secrets even. So you can, for example, if you have a use case which is stateful, which needs to access confidential data, then you can have rules on, for example, only exactly the same fingerprint of software can access that data, and we can make sure that the encryption key is provisioned to everyone who is using that software, running that software, so we can get an unpermissioned access to running this infrastructure. And you can, for availability reasons, you yourself as kind of a dApp developer, you will want to make sure that there is a minimum amount of infrastructure there to provide availability. But basically, it is your choice if it will be an unpermissioned set or a permissioned set of a certain size. If there are incentives, that's for you to decide. We don't mess with incentive systems. If you want to have remote attestation, you need the tier token. But whatever you do on your second layer, that's your decision and your kind of security design of your use case. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Alan, and
I'll see you around.
Bravo, bravo. That was an excellent talk. I'm glad that we watched that first. And as you could see during his presentation, what I love about, remember, there's a lot not to love because, you know, you have all the fraud and snake oil salesmen and things like that. But what I absolutely love was just like all the stuff he nailed there. Not only does he give a very interesting concept with a real handshake method, he's also pointing out flaws in his design actively as he's highlighting them. And he's saying things like, for example, he's like, everything can be hacked and it's inevitable that we're going to get hacked. So this is why we're putting these layers of security and fail safes in, because it's not an if, it's when what we do. And just hearing things like that, you know, again, you're like, oh, my stuff is in good hands because they're actively thinking of this. And some of the stuff that I did thought about, he mentioned in, for example, again, similar to different security layers. I remember I was watching a video today that was talking about how that obviously you want to have like the best email that's not Google, but like trying to make like 100% pure private security email is bullshit just because of the nature of email. And one example he gave is that you could be like running your own email server, email domain, everything localhost, but because you're sending email, it's going to be looked at by a spider crawler on Google. Like that's unfortunately just because of the way the web is designed and the way the web has evolved, that's always going to be a choke point. So you're just basically choosing like the best out of a crappy situation. He pointed out there that like while he feels confident using the transport layer security and making TSS environments, once it gets to the quote web 2.0 aspect, or even just the user aspect, those are obvious major points of failure in which this goes beyond the scope of what he's working on. It has to be defeated, like things like education and training and
basic privacy measures, going to privacyguides.org and getting uBlock origins and things like that. This is what's going to actually help. And it's interesting that you're using the transfer relation security layer. I feel like that's not talked about enough, especially when it comes to like actual data. And there's a whole separate division, which I believe is called like DTLSS or something like that. But yeah, again, really interesting stuff because again, Polkadot's whole thing is parachains, meaning having these mini spin-off chains that can all talk to each other. So trying to be able to do that in both a decentralized and a secure way. I'll see how it develops. I'd love to review that code when it's published. Again, he has a demo and he says that's going to be published soon. I haven't seen any updates, so I'm guessing it's still being worked on in the finishing levels. But you know, cross your fingers that works because I think it's a very interesting project he's working on. So just because of, if you can't tell by the audio in my face, of like how everything, not just today, but this week is hitting me right now. So I think we're going to watch one more video. There's a couple of videos that are really good that I'll put in the show notes at the end, but we're just going to watch one more video from Polkadot, and we'll watch one quick one from Mainnet, which is only going to take a couple of minutes long, just because I think it's really cool, especially the person that ended up being involving that I didn't know was going to be at the convention, and then we'll sort of wrap everything up. So our last video I'm going to choose here. So let's see, safe run times. So as much as I want to do the cleverly titled unboxing Schrödinger's NFT, the next evolution of secure file sharing.
Hi everybody.
Which I did see pieces of
they
live.
Said they wanted
I saw like two-thirds
to,
of the talk live because I missed like the first like
leave best
8
for last,
minutes of it,
so
but it was
I am.
pretty interesting.
All joking aside, thank
not going to get
you all
into
for
that.
coming here at this
the fourth video I'm not
late hour.
But what's really great about Sub-Zero
today
is
I'm going to be talking about Schrödinger's NFT.
When you go
well,
to Polkadot's,
the original
YouTube,
title of this presentation was
videos. That's where
Fala, Moonbeam, and Cross walking to
interesting tech and security stuff. Make sure to check them out. Instead, what we're going to be looking at will be our final video. It's a little bit of a long one compared to the previous one, but I'm excited for it. And we might only honestly play a chunk of it, and it's called Best Practices for Safe Runtime Upgrades by Liam Aron. So works at the Frame people, the same people that sponsored one of the parties I was talking about earlier. So let's watch a chunk of, you know, whether you're dealing with blockchain or you're just dealing with network ops in general, runtimes and runtime upgrades is the other throbbing migraine that's playing Björk albums. And I want to hear what he has to say in terms of the context of this technology, which is the Polkadot blockchain. So here we go.
Right, so welcome everyone to the last talk of the day and of the Sub-Zero conference. And now we have Liam from Parity, and he will be talking about how to safely perform runtime upgrades of the substrate-based chains, right? Yeah, so stage is yours. Thanks for coming.
Cool. Thank you so much. Hello everyone, thank you all for coming here. It's great to see so many people interested in runtime upgrades. Runtime upgrades. So yeah, just briefly, I'm Liam. I went through the PBA Cohort 2 in Buenos Aires earlier this year. Now I'm working on the Frame team. A big part of what I've been working on recently is runtime upgrade stuff to kind of make that whole process easier to do, harder to mess up. So this is also like a workshop format. So we have a whole 50 minutes, and rather than just being like a talk where I talk at you for 50 minutes, it's like this is it is encouraged for you guys to like code along with what I'm doing. Like we will be doing a bit of coding, we'll be looking at code and stuff like that. And so if you're interested, you can check out the slides, and that'll just make coding along a little bit easier. Otherwise, you can just follow along with me. And yeah, let's get started.
And like I said, because this was the last talk at this convention, and because it's designed like more of a workshop, we're going to be probably skipping around a bit. So we're not going to watch the whole thing, obviously. I wasn't going to do that even if we did start at the right time at 7, but we are going to watch chunks of it because he has some really cool code to show. So let's see what he has.
But if you are following along, as you all know, compiling can take a little while. So I suggest that you kind of get compiling stuff in advance, and then by the time we get to actually doing stuff, you're not just sitting there kind of waiting. So the first thing that we'd be compiling, if you are following along, is the Asset Hub runtime. So we're going to be adding a new palette into the Asset Hub runtime and then dry running a runtime upgrade on Polkadot Asset Hub. So if you don't have Polkadot SDK, you can git clone Polkadot SDK. And then you're going to want to check out this branch, Liam Migrations reference docs. So we are working on an example palette for runtime migrations right now, and kind of like some reference documentation for migrations. So there's one place that tells you everything you need to know about doing runtime migrations. But that's on this branch right now. So yeah, you'll want to check that out if you are following along. Here we are. So we've got migrations. In the storage migrations, so this is the palette, by the way. Very simple. We've got a storage version. We have our, where's our storage? Oh, here it is. Here's our value, and here's our call. So it's a very, very small palette. So we've created this migrations directory. We're making it a module. We're exporting v1. So like a pattern we've been using at Parity for quite some time that is working quite well. And like, I mean, I would recommend it. I think it's pretty good. You have this migrations directory. You make that a module, and then you export another module for each migration that you want to write. So for example, we have this module v1 that is for migrating to v1, right? And then if we wanted to make a new migration later, we're going to make a new module called v2. And then we can kind of have all those nice structured, nice and structured and organized. Now we're going to make even more modules inside v1. The first module we're going to define that almost every migration will need is an old module. And the reason that we need the old module, well, I guess it's kind of spoilers here, but we need to define a storage alias for the old value format. Because in the migration, we need to access value both in the old format and also the new format, right? And so we need to make this thing called a storage alias. That allows accessing on-chain palette storage that's no longer accessible via the palette. And so I'll show you what that looks like. If we go to old, we just take this storage alias. That's from frame support. And we can, now we have this old value, right? See, this is a U32. And so now this is going to allow us to access the old value under like old value, right? So if we want the new value, we run, I think it's like create value, old value, right? That's the first module that we've got. The next module is going to be the version unchecked module. And so here is where we're going to put all of our raw migration logic that's actually going to execute. It's actually going to like take our storage from v0 to v1. That's where like the most and also we're putting this in a private module because we don't actually want to use this logic directly in our runtimes. We want to use version control or version checked code in our actual runtimes themselves. So that's why we keep this module as private. And so we create this struct called migrate v0 to v1, which implements on runtime upgrade. Who knows what on runtime upgrade is? Pretty much everyone. Okay, awesome. Who knows what like pre and post hooks are? Like pre-upgrade and post-upgrade hooks are on runtime upgrade. Okay, awesome. Some people a little bit like unsure. So I'll cover that like super briefly. So the main method exposed that you implement on runtime upgrade is on runtime upgrade. And so this method is literally what is called by the chain after you set the storage, and then in the next block, at the very beginning of the next block, on all of the on runtime upgrade code that is defined in your runtime is going to execute. So this is like the actual migration code. And then you have these two other hooks, pre-upgrade and post-upgrade. So these two hooks are feature gated by the try runtime feature. And so if you remember earlier when we compiled Asset Hub, we passed features try runtime. And what that's done is it's built us a runtime with these extra hooks in them. And when we dry run our migration, what it's actually going to do is it's going to call pre-upgrade, then it's going to run on runtime upgrade, then it's going to run post-upgrade at the end. So we can kind of and in pre-upgrade and post-upgrade, we can assert that our migration actually succeeded using using on-chain data. We make sure that the dry run actually succeeded. This will make more sense when I show you the code. So let's take a look at the version unchecked code.
By the way, in a moment we start skipping around in the video.
So we have this struct migrate v0 to v1. we're implementing on runtime upgrade. Let's look at on runtime upgrade first. This is really easy, quite simple. So yeah, we're reading the old value. If we have the old value, then we want to make the new value. We want to build the new struct, and we just want to put the new value in there. And then on runtime upgrade needs to return the weight that it used, right? So like one read and one write. One for reading old value, one for writing new value. If there's no value there, we just return one read, and we don't really do anything. It's like a no-op. So that's what on runtime upgrade does. For this palette, in pre-upgrade and post-upgrade, what we kind of want to do is use those to make sure that this process happened correctly, right? Like, I mean, if I just like forgot to do that, or maybe I like mixed up current or previous, or I just like made some mistake, like we kind of we want to make sure we're aware of that. And so one cool feature of pre-upgrade is that it can like return some pre-upgrade value. So when we're dry running this, like we can and like the value returned from pre-upgrade is available in post-upgrade, if that makes sense. So we can like take the old value from pre-upgrade, and then in post-upgrade we can take that value, like there was maybe an old value, and we can assert that the migration was successful, right? So we can match on maybe old value. If there was an old value, then the expected new value, right, is like the current and is like, this, the current, and the previous is none because we don't know, there's no previous. And then we get the actual new value from the actual on-chain storage. So just a reminder, this is all happening only when we're dry running. Like, this is just testing. This is not actually executed on-chain when you run it for real, but it helps us dry run using real state. We can use this ensure macro. It's kind of like assert, but instead of panicking, it will like return a error variant on the result. But you can use it a little bit like assert. Yeah, so that's all the pre-upgrade and the post-upgrades hooks do. Like, we just make sure, like, if there was an old value, the on-chain storage was updated correctly, and if there wasn't, then kind of like nothing happened. Like the value, like we didn't just set something by accident. Cool. Does anyone have any questions about this? And we also write a migrate v0 to v1 in here. And we pull in, it's from frame support and migrations, version migration. It takes, how many is that? Five type parameters. The first one is the version that it will execute at. So, the migration will only execute when the on-chain version is 0. What version is it going to? It's going to 1. So the on-chain version will be set to 1 after the migration is complete. Then you pass your migration in there. You pass the palette in there. And you pass like which DB weight, is it parity DB or RocksDB or whatever that your runtime is using. And this is the migration that you put in your runtime. This is the only, see, this is the public, unversion is not public.
Oh God, RocksDB.
Cool, anyone have any questions about version migration? Yep.
After a runtime upgrade, the storage version goes back to 0, or it stays on the one that you decide, and so the next migration you have to look at which one it is now and then add 1 to that?
Yes, correct. It will stay at 1. So we've now...
next one I'll say 1, 2, and next migration I'll put 2, 3, and like that.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So like, if you want to make a new one, like if you wanted to update this palette, say you wanted to like add something, maybe, I don't know, maybe you wanted to make this like, I don't know if a U64 is the correct answer, but I don't know. You want to make this a result. Wait, no, that also would be the same on-chain. Say you want to like add a new thing in here. Like you want to do some kind of thing, and this is like, I don't know, some right? Like you want to add something onto here. You would be like, all right, I've just changed the storage layout, so I need to I need to make a new migration. And so I'll check, okay, what's the storage version now? It's 1. I want to update this to 2. And now, because I've changed the current version to 2, the on-chain storage is 1. I need to make a new migration in here. So I'll make a new v2 here, and I will execute v1 to v2 in my runtime. Cool. Let's remove that. Sweet. So scheduling migration to run. Yeah, so more to using these standalone migrations versus the palette hook upgrades. I have a note about that in the reference docs, actually. standalone struct or pallet hook. Yeah, so basically the reason is like, imagine if you're building a parachain and you have like version 1 of a pallet, and then like maybe that pallet goes through some iterations, like it goes through like 3 iterations, and now it's on version 4, and then you kind of like you upgrade substrate, and it's like, are we gonna do we store every single migration that's ever occurred for a pallet kind of like as part of that pallet code, like that would be included in like the WASM blob, and like you know, it just kind of bloats things, and it's like not, and most people won't need it, and so yeah, rather than using those pallet hooks for these types of like storage migrations, like a pattern that we've been using more and is like recommended now is to make them standalone. So it's like the developer of the parachain knows what is my on-chain storage and what is the current storage, and they can selectively apply the migrations where they need it. And also like the try runtime tool, which we'll see soon, will help you kind of like hold your hand to make sure that you don't mess up. Like make sure that you like included all of the migrations that you need. And if you missed one, it'll be like, hey, it looks like you've missed a migration for this pallet. Maybe you want to include it. Cool, awesome. That's a really excellent question though. Reads or something like that. Let's like, you know, just show what that looks like. So we're going to rebuild our runtime again, because we need to build a new WASM blob with that change that we just made in on runtime upgrade. And let me just like turn off this low power mode.
Low power
Yeah, absolutely.
mode.
Yes, perfect.
CLI throws a warning if you're trying to use a WASM without the try runtime feature on?
We can do that and show you what will happen. It won't be a warning. It'll be more of a, oh crap, I just like tripped over and face planted. But yeah, it probably should be a warning instead. So yeah, we're scraping keys again. So yeah, there is a feature on try runtime CLI, like the asset hub Polkadot has quite a small state, but for big chains like this takes quite a while. So there's a way you can like make a snapshot of the state that kind of loads in straight away. So if you do use this, I recommend try runtime create snapshot help to speed up your workflow. But yeah, we can see because we changed one of our upgrades to return like a huge ref time, right? We're saying like, all right, you're using like 300 billion or something like that % of what your maximum should be. So hey, you should probably like, you know, please ensure this migration is not too computationally expensive, right? So we've got these like warnings now built into try runtime CLI, which should helpfully, you know, if you run this on your chain with your real state, this should helpfully prevent most of the bricking type errors that have occurred this year. Like that style where it's like just the real state is too large. Still though, I want to reiterate something that's like written here in manipulating the POV size and execution time. Like it's still important to make sure your migrations like cannot be easily manipulated, right? Like don't iterate over a vector in like 3 nested for loops, you know, that someone could just like add to cheaply, and then, you know, between you running the test and it looks good, someone adds a few storage items in there, and now suddenly you're screwed. So just make sure that make sure you kind of keep that in mind. Use bounded stuff, test bounded worst case scenarios. Yep. Kind of like have a development chain available on an RPC that you can kind of like connect to it with Polkadot.js apps, and you can inspect the state. You can like call extrinsics, and you can kind of like mess around manually with your chain post upgrade in like a simulated environment. So Chopsticks, like the way I kind of think about this, it's not like it's not a perfect way to describe it, but like Chopsticks is more for like manual testing, like, you know, just playing around with stuff, whereas try runtime CLI is more like programmatic writing code to test things. And finally, this was also mentioned earlier, there is a discussion about parachain recovery techniques. So currently, parachain recovery is not great. Like it takes, I think, 28 days or something like that. If you do, shaking hands. Depends on approval. Okay, it could take a long time. It takes a long time. There's definitely ways to improve it. Thank you, Nathan. Cool. But yeah, I recommend checking out this thread. There's some interesting discussions on how how there's ways to fix that. So yeah, that's all. Thank you so much. And I think I saw a question.
So yeah, that was the highlights of best practices for safe runtime upgrades. A very loaded topic, and obviously because it's a loaded topic, this was a super long video. Obviously, again, as I said, it's a highlight reel. We sort of skipped around and saw like some of the most interesting takeaway points of it. As you can see, parachains itself is already kind of complicated, even though Polkadot tries to make it as easy as possible to jump information between chains. Trying to do it while maintaining a network for and keeping the uptime for it as well as everything updated and running smoothly is truly a circus of running around making sure all the plates are spinning on the sticks. So kudos to Liam here for doing an intensive talk workshop about that at Sub-Zero. And to complete our episode, because this is probably the shortest video we're going to see, and we're going to end it on here. Let's take this video down here. So when I was at Mainnet, I was looking at the people kind of across from us at the Evertest booth that I was working at, and there was two booths that were immediately across from. One was, oh, you should have seen the reaction, where I was like slowly ducking behind the counter, and they're like, why? And it's like, do you see them over there? And they were like, oh crap, that's the WorldCoin people. And I was like, yeah, I did an entire episode like a year and a half ago where I was with Albert Kane from Stop Snooping NY under the FF and the Oxen Chain people, and we at the time just tore that entire project to shreds. Like actual constructive criticism, but we still just massacred that project. So I was like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna see me. And they actually had the orbs and stuff. No, I did not stick my eyes in them, by the way. But the other thing that was across to us was the booth for Brave Browser, which is fascinating because one of our first episodes 2 years ago, I can't believe it's been 2 years. Wait a minute, sorry, 2001. Trying to think. No, it's actually, wow, it's longer than that. It's like 3 or 4 years ago. Holy crap! Because we were still like, this is like right before the vaccines happened. We did this episode where for a Halloween episode we were talking about the Brave Browser and its BAT token, and we had some good things to say about it. We had some constructive criticism about it, as always, especially what was going on at the time with like auto-completing URLs and stuff. But the reason I remember Brave is because one of the main engineers and security people on Brave is Jan Zhu, otherwise known as Bcrypt, and Bcrypt is an absolutely wonderful human being who is also a fellow computer hacker. If you've ever gone to Hackers on Planet Earth, you have definitely seen them. They've also gone around other cons. I actually didn't meet them at Hope. I actually met them at a one-time security conference. I think it was called like Buffalo Security or something, and they did it at the Microsoft HQ, and that was the first time I was ever in the Microsoft HQ in New York. And that's where I met them, and we I wouldn't say they were my best friend, but every time we see each other, we talk, we catch up, we eat, we chat. Very amazing person. And I asked, I was like, is Bcrypt there? And like a lot of people didn't know I was talking about because they're used to their legal name. And then someone was like, oh yeah, Jan, yeah, she's here. I'm like, oh my God, I hope they come over. And there was a meeting thing they mainly had, which is what we're going to watch here, is that they were on a panel, a very short panel at Mainnet. So I figured to end this and to hey, Bcrypt is awesome. First of all, you should check them out. They're at Bcrypt. Well, they're not really on Twitter anymore because of obviously what's happened, but you can find them, Bcrypt on Mastodon, a couple of other things. If you just search Bcrypt, BCRYPT, you'll find all their like hacker stuff as opposed to their professional stuff. Because I'll put it this way, this is the most professional and air quote normal looking I have ever seen them at anything, probably because they were at like a convention on business. By the way, they're probably their most famous thing before I show the panel they were at Mainnet is when we had Chelsea Manning at the very cursed Circle of Hope Hackers on Planet Earth, which was 2 cons ago. Very fun con, but boy was that a train wreck. We had Chelsea Manning as the keynote, and Bcrypt was the actual moderator and Q&A person for Chelsea Manning as the keynote, who's also a working friend, colleague of mine. So that's where you probably have seen them before. I remember commenting on the photo of them together doing the keynote that it looks like the unofficial sequel to the movie. It looks like the official sequel to the movie Hackers, because they were dressed in like so hilarious, like femme queer cyberpunk. It was so awesome. Like Bcrypt was very goth and Chelsea Manning was very Chelsea Manning. But enough of my talk. Let's go look at their talk, which is about web browser extensions. They were on there with 3 other panelists. It's a short panel. And this is, to me, the only, I'm pretty sure there was other good talks at Mainnet. I didn't really think of it for the talks. It was more of the networking and the experience. But if there was one talk I have to highlight, especially from a hacker's perspective under DCG 201, let's look at Bcrypt and Friends talking about the one panel you should only care about at Mainnet. Here we go. By the way, before I play this video, part of the 4 minutes of the 30-so-minute delay that I had trying to do this stream before I had to run off and do something else, and thus delay the stream, was originally the website streaming wasn't compatible with OBS, which is how we're live streaming from, and I had to load it into what is it called? I had to load it into IceCat, which still has some of the old Firefox features that aren't around anymore, including viewing source, where it brings up all the media files, track down the media files, an MU3 file, which means it's like a playlist that has the video in it, and then I had to use an extraction program to extract this actual talk so I can just run it natively on here as a video format. So I had to basically jump through a series of hoops of mini hacks and thinking outside the box to get this talk. So this is still, even though we're not doing any code, I do some hacker as fuck shit in order to get this stream to work. So without further ado, here's Bcrypt and Friends.
All right, thank you for coming, everybody. We are going to be talking about UX, how browser tools can drive crypto adoption. My name is Red Sheehan. I'm a research analyst at Masari, and I'm going to let our panelists here introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Zuko, and I'm the CEO of the Electric Coin Company, which is one of the
Watch
founders
out, the Fire
of
Nation's
Zcash
gonna attack.
cryptocurrency.
Hey, I'm Jan, and I run security at Brave.
Yay,
I am Marta, and I am the president of the Filecoin Foundation.
And
Thanks so much.
Filecoin, which we
so
covered
there is an
many
announcement
episodes ago,
involving all 3 of the protocols and technologies that y'all work on. Do you want to share that?
Okay. The announcement is that Filecoin and Brave and Zcash are all working together to integrate Filecoin and Zcash into Brave web browser, fully, including on mobile for Filecoin, and it means fully shielded Zcash in the Brave browser, so that everything the users do with their Zcash is solely under their control and under their knowledge and no one else's. That's it. Yay! Woo! I'm really excited.
Me too.
This isn't the first piece of collaboration between all of these technologies, though. I know IPFS and Brave have integrated a few other ways before. Marta or Jan, do you want to share what some of that looks like?
Yeah, so we have native support for IPFS in Brave. So if you go to an IPFS protocol, it'll prompt you to use a local gateway or a web gateway, and you can view that content in Brave.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of intersections between Brave and IPFS and Filecoin. In addition to Filecoin being integrated into the browser, and with this announcement being integrated into mobile, we also have, as Jan was saying, the ability to go put in an IPFS content ID and have that show up in your Brave browser. Brave also has support for Filecoin virtual machine addresses, which enables smart contracts on Filecoin. So lots of intersections, and we're really excited to be continuing to expand our partnership with Brave.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah.
So I think the biggest reason that I'm really excited about this partnership is because of the political situation, because the whole cryptocurrency industry, as far as I can tell, is in shock and awe about the government cracking down on privacy and also on decentralization in general. And what I really like about Brave is that it's normal, because privacy should be normal. Like, there's 20 million daily users of Brave who just use it for shopping and chatting with their families and looking up information and all the normal everyday stuff that we all need to do. And all of that should be private and should be under the end user's control. And this demonstrates that, like, putting fully shielded Zcash into Brave makes it more normal and more widespread, and demonstrates that it's acceptable and normal for normal people to have privacy over their own personal stuff.
Yeah, the privacy aspect here is huge, that it's not an afterthought. It's being built in the first place. So it kind of challenges that idea that you have to choose one or the other. Like, do I want a good user experience or do I want privacy? But we're seeing here we can have both. So what is that going to look like in terms of onboarding people or actually making it normal, making it the default for people? What can you achieve with these tools for, you know, some normal day-to-day activities, you know, people use Brave for, people use Zcash for, or IPFS for, and how do you combine them? Like, what do the use cases look like?
Yeah, so I mean, it's important to note that if you use Brave, you don't just get a browser wallet by default. There are people who don't ever want to touch cryptocurrency, and that's fine. We shouldn't push it on them if they know what they're doing. So yeah, for now this is all opt-in. Same with IPFS, right? A lot of people don't have any need to like view IPFS content. I think the key is like giving people who don't necessarily care about privacy or about like content addressable, like content addresses, right? To like have reasons to use these features. Yeah. So I think like NFTs and things like CryptoKitties were a big example of when people who didn't necessarily care about the technology suddenly had a reason to, and things like that are going to like be what the things that get the next wave of like cryptocurrency users and IPFS users.
And the IPFS integration of Brave is really important for NFT users, right?
That's right, exactly. So one of the things that's really important about NFTs is you don't want to have your NFT disappear if the startup that you bought your NFT from goes under and stops paying their Amazon Web Services bill. So the vast majority of NFTs, literally over 100 million NFTs, are actually stored, if you go down to the storage layer, on IPFS. And one of the really cool things that the Brave integration does is really enable NFTs to be stored on IPFS, which is really fantastic. I think Brave is doing such an amazing job of bridging the gap between users who aren't crypto native, aren't super into Web3, but who do care about, you know, privacy and some of these core values, and bridging the gap between that and, you know, being able to actually be using these technologies, you know, to be using IPFS, to be, if you want, using Filecoin and Zcash, without even necessarily realizing that you're doing it, without having to go through the rigmarole of the very hard onboarding that would take place otherwise.
Why do people use Brave, Jan?
That's a really great question. So a lot of people use Brave not because
it works.
It's like the cryptocurrency forward browser. They use it because they got sick of Chrome for some reason, right? We actually see like really mundane reasons, like Chrome was using too much memory, and Brave, by blocking like so many ads and trackers, just makes that problem go away. So a lot of our onboarding funnel is just completely unrelated to crypto and privacy, and then you know, we slowly try to introduce them to features that bring these things in.
I'm actually one of those users. I'm very lazy, don't like learning things, and I use Brave pretty much exclusively for everything all the time, just because it's like faster and simpler than the alternatives.
Yeah, and so one example of when we suddenly got people who weren't interested in crypto to use it without knowing it was Basic Attention Token, which was this ERC20 token we launched in 2017. And in Brave, it wasn't like, oh, here's like a crypto token. It was presented as, do you want to pay creators directly because you're blocking their ads, right? And they need alternative revenue sources. We have a built-in way of doing that, and the underlying layer was using this token. But a lot of people didn't necessarily know or care that it was a cryptocurrency.
Good point. Hey, I thought about it a second more. It's not really, I'm a big Brave user, and it's not really just because it's faster and simpler for me. It's actually because Brave is one of the only things that I trust in my phone. I trust Apple, I could be wrong, but I'm just telling you my feelings. I feel like trusting toward Apple, Signal, the messenger, and Brave. That might be about it.
Yeah, I would say like I don't trust.
It doesn't help that unless you want to modify Firefox for both desktop and mobile. And with mobile, it's really iffy because the thing is that in Android, you are locked to their system. So even Firefox is still based off some form of Chrome. If you're using a browser on Android, it's based off of Chrome. If you're using any browser based in iOS especially, is based off of Safari. You have no choice. But if you don't want to modify Firefox and it's really iffy on Android and or which I'll put it this way, I still use Bromite. I have Bromite, but it will occasionally not get updated right, and then everything stops working. And Brave is like an actual app that gets like actual uptime, runtime. So it's basically the only real privacy option for an Android device. And honestly, it's not even the best, but it's just the best of what's available. So I use it. I transitioned from it from Bromite. Bromite's now my secondary thing, as well as my other weird browsers that I have, like Tor, I2P, Thor for IPFS, things like that. So yeah, that's kind of why. No offense to you and your team, Bcrypt, we love you.
Try not to trust anyone, right? Like if it's not an open source project, like I'm not just gonna like say that because they have like a famous security person that it's like trustworthy. Like I think trust really comes from like independent auditors, you know, and being able to look at the code yourself and so forth. So.
But I think there's something to be said about the fact that Brave is really enabling people to interact in a private way, in a way that, you know, I think Red said this at the beginning. It's really important that it is making it so that you can have your daily interactions that you're so used to being surveilled to have those be private instead. Really does something in terms of undermining this idea that in order to be private, you have to have terrible UX, right? And really onboarding people into the idea that privacy is normal.
Yeah, you have to put on a black hoodie. No, it feels a lot better to me when I feel like I'm doing a thing. It's the same thing I was going to do anyway, but now I'm doing it without some unknown companies or organizations watching. It just feels better to me.
I want to ask, is it possible to just add in privacy later if you've already built something else? Can you just put it on top, or does that not work?
That's a good question. What do you think, Jan?
It certainly worked with like HTTPS, right, which is probably the most ubiquitous encryption that people use on a daily basis, right?
I'm going to interrupt. Jan is partially responsible for upgrading the World Wide Web from unencrypted HTTP to encrypted HTTPS.
That's maybe a bit of an overstatement, but yeah, if you think back like 15 years ago, most sites, it was pretty normal to like go to a site like Facebook over HTTP, and we were just used to the fact that, you know, anyone could look at that traffic, and now things are completely different. But
Facebook also
yeah,
has
I don't know,
a
do you feel like
onion
there's
for no
any
reason.
equivalent analogy for like cryptocurrency and financial privacy?
Oh, yeah. Normal people assume that they have a certain kind of privacy in their financial transactions. And it's really complicated whether you're talking about privacy from the government or from a foreign government or from your nosy neighbor or from the insurance company or from the advertiser or from Mark Zuckerberg, blah, 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 blah. But normal people, in fact, normal people who are like outside the crypto sphere, they think that crypto is about privacy. Like I talked to a guy who's the parent of one of the kids at my kid's high school last week, and he was like, Bitcoin, oh yeah, Bitcoin is great because it's private. That's all I know about it. That's all he knows about it, right? So from inside our little crypto
And
sphere,
that's why
we
we
have
need
a
to
completely
educate people, like with this show.
understanding of things. But my point is, when you use, even when you're using like your credit card to buy stuff, you're actually relying on and you feel comfortable with a certain amounts of privacy guarantees that you're getting. Like it would be totally different if random nosy neighbors or your exes or whoever could see your credit card transactions. That'd be a totally different world. And everyone outside of the crypto sphere relies on certain kinds of privacy as being necessary and the default. What was my point? So, yeah, if the whole little mind bubble inside crypto that pervasive transparency is the default, that's cool. It could be useful for some things, but it's never going to work for like mainstream behavior.
Yeah, I think, Zuko and I have been on many stages together talking about this topic, and Zuko often says that privacy is consent, which I think is so powerful, right? The ability to actually consent to who sees what. It's not secrecy. And every time you've said that, it's really been something that has resonated with me. And I think as we sort of move through time, like going back to stages we were on together, in fact, I think we were on this, the Mainnet stage together a few years ago. Like as we move through time, I think more and more there is a push for financial surveillance to be extended on to cryptocurrency. And we've seen that really in the last year. It's really ramped up, particularly in the US. And so more and more, this idea that privacy is normal, we're sitting up here and we all agree. But I think for most people, particularly when it comes to financial transactions, that's not necessarily the pervasive thinking. And so it's so important to be able to create technologies that really do reinforce this idea that privacy is normal, and that privacy should be the default. Not that the default should be that all financial transactions and other transactions are turned over to the government by default, and visible to the government by default. To me, that's pretty scary, but that is in fact the world that most people live in.
And to turn it back to UX, the best way for anyone to learn anything is user experience, is experience instead of words. The scientific and legal theory around privacy is super complicated, but when people have the experience, which I've seen many times by now, of having money in their hand, and I tell them, like, now this is between like you and God. Like nobody else, it's fully your moral responsibility what you do with this money, because nobody else can control or even know what you do with this money. And that makes it an extension of your moral decisions, nobody else's. So about UX, there's one more part of our partnership that we're announcing about user experience, which is, it's like this. Zcash users of all Zcash wallets, as well as Brave, are also getting a new user experience feature out of this, which is that using Filecoin, they can send like pictures, voice memos, media, or videos, or whatever, through their private end-to-end connection to all Zcash wallets, as well as to Brave users.
Yeah, this is huge, especially with the UX of that, of you're using all these tools without explicitly knowing you're using them. As you said, Marta, it's not in your face that you're jumping through all these hoops. We just want it to work. So it looks like we're out of time for this panel. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I thought we had more than this. But in that case, I will leave it off that privacy is normal and good UX is how we get more users.
Privacy is normal and good UX is how we get more users.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Amen to that, especially for the privacy-focused stuff. So, and that's just me looking up a thing. I'm going to go to this page, and we're going to go back to face mode because we're basically done with the episode. So, especially because I had such a hectic week, this was honestly really fun, especially remember a good week that I had. So, on today's Crypto Barons, we looked at two major conventions, one that happened entirely online because I'm not going to fly all the way to Portugal, and one that I not only attended in New York City, but was hired by the Evertas crew in order to do some advertising for them. And we talked about those conventions. We talked about all the different parties and tech workshops and everything that revolved around them, including ETHGlobal, which was a whole hackathon that I unfortunately did not take part in because I was so busy
we'll try to take part of it next year because we've done Ethereum stuff before on the show, and I've dabbled with it myself. And then we looked at a bunch of the tech talks from both, well, there was only one really, which was the one we just watched from Mainnet with Bcrypt, who I was not expecting to be there at all, because I usually only just see them every Hackers of Planet Earth or some other minor hacker convention like once or twice a year. I didn't think I'd see them at this thing, even though it makes sense because she works at Brave, and Brave is everywhere in the crypto world. And we did an episode about it many moons ago. But however, we looked at a bunch of tech talks from Sub-Zero. I highly recommend to go to Polkadot's YouTube channel. They might have an Odyssey, but I definitely have a YouTube channel. They have all the videos there. You can look up even the stuff we couldn't cover, such as the really trippy talk that is known as Schrodinger's NFTs, and how to do more like safety migrations on bridges, and a bunch of stuff that we weren't able to get to today. So like I said, that's our show. I hope you stay tuned for tomorrow, where I will be here hopefully on time at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, Sunday, on October 15th. Because remember how I said that I was working at the Evertest booth? Well, the reason I was working there is because their business card is a set of lockpicks, and I was teaching lockpicking there. So not only will this be the glorious return of Master of Locking after a month of hiatus, but I am going to be actually explaining what a lockpick sort of travel card is, and I'm going to be taking it apart using all the picks and tools available on this card, and talk about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, what can be improved, and tomorrow I'm going to be picking a couple of you folks watching in the chat, and I will be giving away and mailing some of these cards to you folks so that you have a free set of lockpicks that you can use at your leisure, because everyone always asks me where to get lockpicking kits, and even though these aren't as durable as those, they do get the job done. So again, that was our show. If you are on YouTube, you're going to be forward to a video that I can't remember what I set it to when I set this video, but you'll be forward to some good education in the similar subject I'm talking about. If you are on Twitch, we are going to go raid another stream, so stay on for an extra minute as you listen to the music. We're going to raid someone else's stream, and unfortunately we don't have enough viewers in order to raid Kick, but hopefully we'll get there one day. So again, that was our show. If you want to catch up on what DCG201 is doing, including our eventual announcements of what's going on with the meetings and when you can see them, because you'll probably be going to a DCG201 meeting in Jersey City closer than you think. You can keep updates by going to our Medium blog. We're also on all the social medias. We're on Twitter, formerly known as X, X formerly known as Twitter, because Twitter's just such a way better name before the Muskrat became Divorced Dad Energy. We're on the hostx.social instance of Mastodon. We're on Threads. We have a GitHub. We're on Minds.com. We're on everything, and we're actually about to add one or two more freaking social media portals. So we're going to add more of that circus, so you can follow us there. And even though we're trying to use it more, it doesn't get much action, but we try to use it more, just like any other text thing. We have a Discord. You can log into our Discord until we set up our new IRC home and our new private chat home. So to repeat, I hope to see you tomorrow for the Master of Unlocking to do the Evertas card picks that I did at the Mainnet convention. It's weird doing this back to back. Hope you learned a bunch of cool stuff today like I did. And please follow us on there. Also, if you like the content and if you want to get notifications directly on the platform of your choice, please like, follow, and subscribe completely for free on Twitch, YouTube, PeerTube, Odyssey, and recently Kick. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you click that bell and turn all notifications on. Not because I'm a shill, but because otherwise you won't get our notifications when we go live, because YouTube hates me and you that much. So that was the end of our show. Hope you had a great time. Stay tuned for the raid if you're on Twitch. Hack the Planet, Dirty Jersey represent, and remember, anytime you think you are, oh, actually, here's an even better one. Please stop using, well, don't use Luma. Can you please stop putting backgrounds on Luma that take more space than running the New York Times front page on Chrome? I swear to God, we were literally ready to go within like 10 minutes, and then all the different Luma sites with their crazy trippy backgrounds that eat like 5 gigabytes per second of data just crashed everything. And this is a high-end PC gaming machine, even though it's a little old. You know, you shouldn't need to have a PlayStation 5 in order to look at a goddamn meetup page. So please, or maybe in general, as much as I like all the privacy is good and hacking and all the cool stuff in the scene, stop going for flash, start going more for function in the crypto world. That, I beg you, people will actually like you more, even though they don't like you as much because, you know, sniper oil salesman. Peace out. Enjoy the music. Say hi to whoever we raid. Bye-bye. See you in 2 weeks. Here we go.